Hi everyone! When did the bots get shiny in your benches? Recently. Because Twitch is battling a bot problem and seems that they need a good way to verify what bots are like intended. Are we supposed to have music? You didn't hear the music? Oh my god! I am an idiot. Hi Evo, I saw you follow the other day. Thank you so much. Okay, I see what went wrong. I see. Okay, hold on. That shouldn't be a problem in this scene. Hold on. I hope this is allowed. But this is not copyrighted. Can I play it? Oh, there we go. Okay. So I figured out what the problem is. I was already wondering why the other day there was no music on the VOD. But it should have been. This is just a case of Ezzy being an absolute dumbass. And being a victim of their own design. So 3 badges for the clink as it is. Well, it's kind of like a verified badge. That these are the bots that we want, and that every other bot is not the bot that we want. So, I set up that through my GoXLR, which is a fancy apparatus with knobs and buttons and everything, that I can delegate, like I can use the knobs and dials to regulate the volume of everything. And that gets switched together into one soundtrack to OBS to the stream. I'm hearing multiple sources of music. Hold on. Oh, that was still going. Lol. And I set it up that you can hear that stream mix. But I'm still importing all the different sound sources to be recorded. But those sound sources don't go to the stream. And I had a problem twice now where I thought I ended stream and I didn't, and people could see and, well, not see, hear everything I was doing. So I was like, okay, I need to take out all sound sources from my ending screen. And then I also like, okay, there's no reason for certain things to be heard in my starting screen, so I removed that too. And I realized, oh, if I do this, then there's no music. So I imported just the music track, or like my desktop track, to the starting soon screen. But I forgot that's not how that works. That's not how I set that up. It can be how it works if I choose to make it work. It's just not how it works. So that's... Okay, no, that's... I'm glad I realized that. Luckily, the way I set things up with my microphone is that my microphone is always on there. My microphone is separate from everything else. So if everything breaks, at least you should hear my microphone. Well, it still goes through the GoXLR. So the only thing that can't break is the GoXLR. But if I fuck up the settings, that's it. I haven't turned on my fancy cute lights. Am I in the middle or am I just being weird? What is this source? Oh, it's Natalie's Video Ninja. Okay, well, I can ignore that. I'm sitting in the middle. Also, because people are still surprised by the fact every time I mentioned it. Oh, I can turn the music up a little bit. I'm moving in a month. People are still surprised. We're getting the key in almost exactly a month. And there's still so much that needs to be figured out and fixed, and it's so annoying. Phone charging. I also desperately need a new phone. Everything is breaking down. Hey, it didn't turn on that light. What the hell? Streaming sounds complicated in general. Yeah. Yeah. The best part about streaming is that if you don't stream for a month, don't touch OBS or any of your setup at all. When you come back, everything is broken. That just happens. Why? I don't know. It's a bit similar to if you put wired earphones in your pocket. Like, doesn't even matter how neatly you fold it or roll it up. It will always be tangled. How? Why? Don't fucking know. It just happens. Haha, not me. Oh god. But yeah, I'm moving. I'm staying in the same city, but I'm moving in a month, and I'm so excited because I'll have an attic room, which allows me to have a bit more privacy, and I will have one big room instead of like a bedroom and a small office. They are both too small to do something with, but also too big for what I'm doing with it. So it's not an efficient use of my space. But the one downside is that it will have sloped walls. I cannot put giant bookcases in there, but I can put small ones, and I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's something that's happening in a month. So there's a bunch of boxes here. There was a whole pile in frame here, but I managed to figure out that most of the boxes in my office weren't even my stuff, because we had to take everything down from the attic to sort everything out, because we're doing a bit of an out and ordinary construction. So like, my parents aren't divorced, but they're still kind of separated, but together. I don't even know. I don't think if they even know. But I'm moving with my mom, and my little brother just is gonna have a room in both houses. And I am really ready for that. To just have a different environment and stuff. Because a lot of people are also surprised by this fact. I have never moved in my life before. I've slept in the same bedroom my whole life, 25 years. If you discount, like, when I was like a really small kid, this was my bedroom. And I slept in this room again when I needed like a 2-person bed when I had a boyfriend. And my other room was just too small to host both a 2-person bed, a desk, and a giant wardrobe. Took me 35 years to move out. I mean, I'll still technically be living with my mom. I will be living in my mom's attic. I moved once, it was okay. Was it to move in with Katie? Because that's actually adorable. But to put it into perspective, my parents bought this house when they were younger than me. And currently, this house almost goes for $500,000. Yeah. Great, phenomenal. That's default. Wow, I am not awake. I'm sorry, Bank. That's... Oh my god, that reminds me of yesterday. I've moved at least 4 times, but not on my own, so I don't think it counts. I mean, it does count because you've moved. Like, the process of moving, like, you still have to, like, box up your entire life and move to a different house. I think that counts. But yeah, no, what I had yesterday... So we're buying furniture for the new house, right? Like, bit by bit, because currently we don't have the house yet, so it all needs to be stored in this house, and there's limited space between all of the boxes already being put out. So my mom bought like a TV console like thing that you can attach to the wall, and I was with her when she ordered it. And then the guy came to bring it to our house, and he was like, "Oh, I've got a TV console table." And I'm like, "Huh? Who ordered that?" I was so confused because usually people tell me explicitly when they order something. But my mom didn't because I was sitting next to her when she did, right? So she assumed that I knew, and I should have known, and I was just confused. And then I buffered, like, in real time for a few seconds. And then I was like, wait. Is the name, insert my mom's name? Yes. And I'm like, oh my god, yes. No, that's correct. I'm so sorry. And he was like, no, that's completely fine. And the funny thing is, I think they shipped the console table as is because it's a giant box, but about the dimensions what was listed on the order. So, and because it's gonna be attached to a wall, it doesn't have legs, right? So it's just a giant rectangle that's currently sitting in our hallway. I have also, like, I've been having bad luck and I've not been paying attention. So let me, before we dive into reacting, I mean, you can use it as is. You don't even need to peel the cardboard. Okay, yeah, okay. But let me tell you the story of the bad luck I had a couple days ago. And it's just hilarious if I'm honest. And it's only funny because I'm coping. So, remember how I said I'm moving in a month? That's a relevant context. Well, relevant as in it's relevant but unfortunate context. So I got a notification on my flyer app with all the flyers of all the discounts and deals and whatever of stores nearby, right? Because I like to keep track of that because sometimes they carry like toys, figurines for a really cheap price. That's how I got like, can I point at them? These anime figures. Like two from Demon Slayer, there's Anya, and there's... I can't even point at the other guy. And there's Tomioka as well there. I got them for like €9 each, right? So like that's really cheap. So I keep track of the flyers to make like see if they're they have them in this week, what price, and other types of toys because I have like all these Minecraft figurines and everything. I got most of my Funko collection back in the day from them. I sold most of them because I realized I had a problem. So I got rid of most of them because I only bought them to have the collection, not because I actually liked how they looked. Like most of them from Marvel. And I'm like, okay, I like Funkos. I collect Funkos. These are only €4 a piece. And they're Marvel and I like Marvel, right? So it became a problem. Okay. So recently I started like keeping a look at their stuff again because I found these anime figures and I got a notification of a new flyer and I was like, okay, great, fantastic. So I looked through and they had Pokemon stuff. I was really excited because that included tins of cards. I was like, this is a good price. It was like only 17 or 18 euros for a tin, which amounts to less than €5 per pack, which is like the usual thing I use for myself to make sure I don't overpay. So it's like, sweet. And I got it on Monday morning, so there's probably still some left. Like if it was later in the week, it probably wasn't. And I go there and I find the Pokemon stuff, but just no card or like empty display where the cards would be. I'm like, okay, maybe they put it behind the counter because all the toy stores here do that too. Like there's no Pokemon cards where you can reach them. They're all behind the counter. So I go pay and I ask because I had some shampoo and stuff as well. I'm like, hey, I saw that you guys had Pokemon cards. Do you still have them? And she was like, no, they're no longer in the display. They're probably out. But also this flyer is from last week. And I'm like, huh? From last week? I felt scammed by my app really badly. So I'm like, yeah, damn, that's correct. And she said, but you can try the other store of our chain in the city. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So I go there. Obviously none, right? There was even less Pokemon stuff because it was selling out because it was the flyer from last week. So I was like, damn. But I really set my thoughts on having Pokemon cards today. So I go to both toy stores in town. One didn't even have cards, not even behind the counter, or at least not where they were visible. And there were so many boxes they were unpacking from like orders, but also their postal point. So people can choose to have their packages sent to a postal point here. And that can range from like a bookstore, or supermarket, or a toy store in this case. So there was like a whole bunch of boxes and stuff, and I was like, I'm not even gonna bother this guy for that. Because I'm probably gonna be one of the million people that ask about Pokemon cards. He's gonna be so tired of people like me. Then I went to the other toy store, and I specifically want tins, because that's a good value for multiple card packs. And you have a nice tin, and I like having little trays and stuff to put in trinkets. No, they didn't have any tins. And all the other card stuff that they had was like significantly overpriced. Like, what do you mean I have to pay $80 for 6 packs? That sounds insane to me. That's more than 10 euros per pack. I'm not paying that. I understand it's a new set and that sometimes packs can get expensive, but like 10 is already expensive. But like it was more than that because it was 80 and for 6 packs. I don't know. So I was really sad. And then the guy behind the counter was really not interested in me, and he was like, "Okay, well, we're getting some Pokemon stuff in tomorrow, but I don't know if it will be tins." And I'm like, "If I have time, I'll come back," which I genuinely intended to do. Well, that's where the bad luck came in, really. Like, I was not having great luck with the Pokemon cards, but I went back to my car. I got in my car. I started my car. And I tried to drive away. And my car starts making noise as if you're pressing the gas while holding the brake. But the car wasn't braked. First of all, I checked. I'm not stupid. I turned off the handbrake, and like for a moment I gaslit myself that the handbrake went the other way to unbrake. So I did that, same result, then I put it back. I don't know. But I knew it wasn't braked, or like there wasn't something broken in the car that made it brake. Because the parking spot was ever so slightly on a slope, and it started rolling forward ever so slowly, right? So I knew the car wasn't braking. But still, pushing the gas didn't make it move. Pushing the gas made it sound like the car was braked, and you're just pushing the gas. So I was like, okay, maybe I fucked something up. Let me put it in reverse, put it back in the parking space, and then call someone. The car went forward after I put it in reverse. Not very fast, mind you. You know how when you put a car in reverse, it doesn't go as fast as forward? That's what it was doing. It was going like backward speed, but forward. And then I was like, okay, this can't be good. So I turned off the car, called my dad. I explained what happened. He didn't even like formulate any thought. He was like, I'll be right there. Were you sitting backwards? No. I was sitting normally in the car. And you know I can drive the car because I went there to begin with, right? And that went fine. There were no weird noises. It didn't stutter. There were no lights or whatever. So I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him. So, okay. So my dad comes. I explain what happened again. He gets in the car. Car doesn't even start anymore. Mind you, I've been like... Well, it starts as in... You can use the other things in the car, but the motor is not starting, right? Like, I could still, like, turn up and down my window, turn on and off the lights, could use the radio, etc. And then he just looked at me, being all confused, and especially with the story I just told him. He was like, I've never seen this before. And I was like, okay, there's this one light that's like flickering and it's like beeping and stuff. And it didn't do that every time I like tried to start the car, but it did like a few times. So I just took out the manual of my car because that was like one of the only lights I didn't really know what it meant. And then it just usually the lights, the instructions say what the light is, what it costs, and what you can do against it. It didn't even tell me what it cost. It just said you have to like contact a Toyota dealer or your car shop immediately and stop the car, like whatever you're doing. And I'm like, that can be good. Hi, Benya, welcome in. Oh, let me hydrate. Did I just not take my iced tea with me? I'm so cringe. So luckily the car shop that me and my family have been going through for, well, ever, was a few streets away. So we drove there. I dropped off my key. I explained to the guy what happened. And he just looked at me like I made it the fuck up. Like, I don't really pass IRL because in a town as small as mine, everyone knows me as XYZ's daughter, right? So I'm not really seen as anything else besides, especially because I'm in the system as girl. So to this man, I just looked like a dumbass woman or like a dumbass kid that just butchered their car. Not on purpose, but like because they're so incompetent, right? I didn't even do anything. The only thing I can blame is the fact that I don't drive very often. And sometimes that can cause issues, right? When you haven't driven very often, sometimes the car won't start. There's other issues that started, like batteries passively drain. But usually you will figure that out the first time when you start it, right? So the fact that I was able to drive without any problem, I'm in Main Street for an hour. I come back to the car's just broken. I don't know. That's not normal. Yeah, I just look like a dumbass woman that just broke their car. But he looked at me like, I've never heard of that before. Like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. So my dad, like, added context, like, okay, this is an automatic car, by the way. And then he looked even more confused. So for people that have never sat or driven an automatic car, we still have a clutch. But that clutch is like engine, as in forward, reverse, neutral. And I have some additional settings to the side that I never use, but you can technically use my car as a manual too. I don't know how. I'm not touching it. But I think like something in the software just freaked out. I thought everyone in the Netherlands cycled everywhere. None of you are disabled and have terrible asthma like me. I used to be able to cycle. And then when I was like around 16, my health deteriorated really badly. And eventually I always had to like call my mom to pick me up because I was like halfway between home and school. And I just couldn't go any further. And because I'm stuck between the two, like it's not like I can pick one or the other because I'm not getting either. So I need someone to pick me up. And that's when I started being driven to school because even on an electric bike, it's not happening. People in the Netherlands cycle a lot, but not as much as I used to anymore. Cars inevitably take over. I mean that too, but everyone also uses those fat bikes now. So even the people that are cycling aren't really cycling. And it's a real problem. This is also... My little brother has had a fat bike for years now. And he doesn't understand, like, the trenches I had to go through when I went to high school, right? It's like he's 16, he's turning 17 next month. And sometimes it's raining, right? And he's like, "Oh, Dad, can you please drive us?" And I'm like, the audacity that you're even asking. You have a bike that's going faster than the legal limit. You don't even, like, you're anywhere in less than 5 to 10 minutes. And most of your clothing is made of, like, this water resistant stuff, which is unintentional, but that's just the fashion of the kids around here. And you still are asking to be driven somewhere because it's raining? Oh my god. It doesn't even rain in the Netherlands as often anymore as back then. Like, climate change really, yeah, it really changed things in 10 years. Because I had days that I went to school and it was raining out, and then I'm like 2-3 minutes into my ride, and then it starts hailing, and then it starts snowing, and then stops snowing, and the sun's shining, and by the time I'm at school, it's raining again. My bike ride to school was like 10-15 minutes. So odd, it used to rain every day. Yeah, I felt like it rained like every day, and then the entire day, if it rained. And now it sometimes rains, but when it rains a lot at once, and then the sun is back. It's really unpredictable. I'd rather have it that it's like this really soft rain throughout the entire day than just a random downpours, because you cannot account for those. It's really annoying. Did that light just flicker? Yeah, I miss the rain sometimes because it's cozy and the temperatures are just a lot more nice. And I'm struggling because of my asthma and like my sensitivities. If it's raining, there's still a certain cold in the air that even if the temperature is higher, I need to wear several layers of clothes. Otherwise, I'll feel cold or I'll catch a cold and get sick. But when the actual temperatures outside are over the 20 degrees, I cannot have multiple layers of clothing because the temperature will catch up with me. So I am both sweating and cold right now. And I hate it. Why do heat waves almost occur more than heavy rains? Maybe I need the colder seasons at this point. Yeah. I'm really glad, because I've never really been aware of the seasons changing. Like, I always thought it was like a really gradual thing. And maybe that changed because of climate change, right? But I was out with my dog on Monday, and I smelled the air. I felt some, like, leaves that fallen off the trees beneath my feet. And I was really like, oh, it's fall now. Like, it was literally something that happened over the weekend. Like, oh, it's fall now. Even though the temperatures are still kind of in the summer range, having a warmer fall is not abnormal anymore. And it's like, it's fall now. So now I'm completely in fall mood. I've been wearing hoodies again, even though I'm fucking dying of heat stroke. And I'm really enjoying the mood. I started watching a discovery of witches yesterday. And it's just, it starts around the autumn equinox. So it's really close to the current time frame because the autumn equinox is happening on the 21st. So that's in 3 weeks. It's like, it's Oxford. It's like, it's dark academia. It's witches and vampires and old books. And it's actually really good. Like, if you love things like the Vampire Diaries as a teen, I feel like this is like a more adult equivalent of that. And I'm also figuring out that if you have an immortal vampire dating a 16-year-old or an immortal vampire dating a 36-year-old, it still equally feels like a weird age gap. So I decided to stop caring about it. Because realistically, if you have a vampire that's a few hundred years old, the difference between 16 and 36 is like trivial between them. It's just like the maturity of the person itself, but like age difference are not even like remotely relevant anymore. I'm clinging to summer as long as I can. UK autumn, winter is just dark and wet. I mean, it's here too. The weather here is like really, really similar to the UK, which is funny. Because we always joked about the UK being rainy. Even though it rained nearly every day if it wasn't summer. So the one time I've been in the UK, which is 2018, it was middle of the summer. We had 3 really nice summer days in a row. And then the 4th day it started raining. And it felt... I almost liked the fact that it rained. Because it felt like home. I don't know. If I was an immortal vampire, I think I'd stop giving a shit about dating after a year 100 or so. Okay, done. Let's move on to something else. I miss when we still had snow when I was a toddler. It's rarely a thing now. Oh my god, yes. I remember when I was a small kid, there was snow that was often like half my height or like my height. And I was a small kid, so it can be much. But we're still talking about a minimum of like 30 centimeters, right? 30 centimeters to a meter when I was a small kid. I remember I fell in the snow and I couldn't get back up. And someone had to like grab my arm and like pull me out. That's how much snow there was. Like even to do that with a small child, that's still a significant amount of snow. And now we're lucky if it like snows at all. And often that snow doesn't even like make it to the ground. Or it comes to the ground and immediately melts. If I was an immortal vampire, I would put off so much stuff. My to-do list, it would be the size of a large library. I used to ice skate right next to our house with a bunch of other people. It was so fun. Yes, me too. Oh my god. I don't even like that. It's like back to the discovery of witches. The vampire who is like 1500 years old or something. You start talking about, oh, I still remember how the Thames froze over every year and I could ice skate on it. And I'm like, oh my god, this is exactly how I sound when I'm talking to people a decade younger than me. It's so weird how only 10 years can make such a difference. Because literally, my little brother, he is 16, almost turning 17. His girlfriend is 17. And sometimes I talk about stuff from my high school days. Mind you, I'm 8.5 years older than my little brother. So it isn't like... For siblings, it's just a big gap. But time-wise, that's not that much time, right? And I talk about things. And they just look like... And they look at me like I'm talking about, like, using a stone and chisel to write down my homework. That's how they look at me. I'm Swiss, and when we tell that to anyone, they're like, ha, whoa, Switzerland, snow, skiing. I haven't seen snow, I don't know, in decades, but sure. Yeah, people think that because they always think about ski vacations, but a lot of the snow there is just falling high into the mountains, and even that's not always happening anymore. Will be an odd side quest in an RPG. The centuries-old vampire with ADHD asks your help to find discarded pieces of this to-do list. Oh my god, that would unironically be such a good story. Oh my god. Dutch children are tall as well. Okay, Dutch children, like, before puberty, we're not that tall. We just have, like, an insane growth spurt somewhere in puberty. I could have been taller if I didn't have my period when I was still in elementary school. Which is, like, a thing, apparently, that where, like, as soon as, like, an AFAB person has their period, they practically stop growing. So can you imagine? I was pretty much this height When I was 11 years old. If you want to know, yes, I was bullied. Oh my god. The to-do list is just find the old to-do list. Yeah. Oh my god, that's so funny. But yeah. So, my car has been in the shop for the last 2 days. And I haven't had any updates whatsoever. The only thing I do know is because my dad drove past the car park where my car was parked, that they already had picked it up from there. So it's at least it's at the shop. It's no longer at the car park, which is good. But yeah, that means that I can just randomly get a call during the stream. And this stream is also not gonna last 4 hours like I sometimes do, because if I don't get a call from them today, I want to call them before they close, which will be around 4:30 p.m., which is in 2.5 hours, but that should be plenty to do what I want to do. And also, I want to do more 2.5 hour streams, because then I can do more and be live more often. I don't know. But that can also change when I move, because maybe I will finally be able to do evening streams and switch both, so I can cater to both my European and Asian audience and my US audience. If it makes you feel better, Breeze, I absolutely put on my to-do list to make a specific to-do list, or to find a new specific to-do list, or to take notes I made somewhere and make it into a cohesive to-do list. That's absolutely a thing I've been doing. Okay, I need to update my to-do list. Oh my god, I have a Notion page and I downloaded a template that would like automatically have these percentage counters of stuff, what the percentage of stuff I need to do today and how much I've actually done this week and this month. And I put everything I needed to do in it, but I didn't keep it up. So now I need to sort out that to-do list again to start using it, because there's a lot of stuff in there that I no longer needs to be doing. So I need to take stuff out there, mark it as done, or update it, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, oh yeah, so like the context of why I'm moving was related to it. Because I'm moving in a month. I can't have my car be breaking down like that, right? Oh my god, it's a problem. Okay, and so let me pick the link of MILGRAM. Okay, before I do that, I need to there's just this clip. I launched Emiru and Iron Mouse straight into space. Obviously we need to watch that. So this is at Alphea's Sanctuary, which is Maya's like zoo kind of thing, but it's not open for public, but it's like a reservation. Reservation? Oh my god, they bagged up Iron Mouse's tablet. But yeah, Maya Higa has this whole thing where she rescues animals. So Connor did an IRL stream there with Iron Mouse. I don't know if this is the same stream, but it seems to be. So let me skip ahead a little bit. What are they going to do?
Do you know how to swim, Mouse? I don't know how to swim.
Oh no, don't let go of her, please.
That's the... This seems like this can go wrong. Oh, it's one of those. So she has to go at the outer edge, and then someone jumps on it, and she gets launched. What's the brand on that thing? I thought it read fat dick. I need help.
You guys are like
You got
the
this.
top 2 female streamers on Twitch.
Wow.
This can't go wrong.
Wait, Connor's the one that's launching them? Oh, no wonder they get launched. Because Amaru is like tiny.
Oh, Jesus!
He's just standing there.
No, you got this. You're doing great. You're doing it.
She's doing her best.
The iPad on your chest. Yeah, yeah.
Red ball!
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not calling Connor fat. I'm just saying that Amaru is tiny.
What about rolling? Yeah.
And Connor is like, he's a large man. He's not a fat man. He's just a large man. He's as tall as me. And he has a lot more muscle.
Oh. Yeah. In position.
Oh my god. I hope that they gave Amaru like one of those armbands, like the Wii remote controls, to the tablet.
Okay, you in position, Emmy?
Otherwise, she is losing that tablet.
Pad in a good spot.
So I don't believe in them duct taping a trash bag to
You
it.
guys all ready?
I'm filming from under you.
Real good?
Oh my god, I'm scared. You're gonna do great.
Oh god.
Really? We good to go?
Land on the blue thing.
The fact that he's so confident about that
You
height.
can scoot back a little bit apparently. A little bit tiny. Okay, good to go?
Imagine losing Iron Mouse. That would not go well with the fandom. Okay, you're right.
Sure. Go away, we gotta wait, we gotta wait.
Okay, I'm ready.
On go.
I know the volume is low. Holy. Oh. Oh.
Are you okay?
Do you have the iPad? His mouth is
That was so high. Oh, luckily the tablet was floating.
Let go. Okay, let
You did it.
Wait.
That worked great.
What can't duct tape do? I mean, am I right?
Yeah, that's
look at
amazing.
that
adventure.
contraption.
That duct tape is
Emmy, What did you
amazing.
land on?
Yeah, what's that kind of question? We saw that. Oh my god, that must be so painful.
Holy. Wait, I can't see you. Where'd she go?
Can I get one photo of you holding her? Yeah, just.
Right here.
Yeah, great.
Oh, fucked up.
Yeah,
That was amazing. That was fun, Mouse. Dude, that was so hard.
I would have loved to see Iron Mouse POV from that.
It was a good idea to do the wristband. Really good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, she did do the wristband. She's so smart.
Yeah.
That's the way you can see that Emmy is a real gamer. Okay, I love that. That was funny. Let me find MILGRAM. Because that's probably what people are waiting for. Okay, so we have... Ooh. Ooh, we have another video we can react to. So MILGRAM, Futa, trial 3, voice drama. So here's what I learned on my journey to deal with ADHD. At some point you think making the perfect to-do list with all the neat features and all the good content will solve your life, but that's just bullshit. Whether your to-do list is good or shit, and even if you don't have one, if you have one of these days where you actually function, you're gonna function with or without list. Oh yeah, 100%. It's just that the to-do list I figured out, it auto-sorted to be like, oh, this thing has the earliest deadline, so it's on top, and you can just move the thingies. So like in use, it would be so easy to use it, right? But it required a lot of setting up. But because I burned myself out with the setting up, I never actually kept up with it. And now I have to do it again to like update it. I'm so tired of myself. You guys are so patient with me. Okay, so context. For people who still have no idea what MILGRAM is. MILGRAM... Oh, there's an ad starting. Okay, I'm gonna take 2.5 minutes to explain it, then we run the ad and then react to it, okay? So, MILGRAM is this online kind, like halfway ARG kind of story. And it's created by the people behind DECO, like the Vocaloid producers. So it is a fictitious story. Wow, I'm not explaining as well. So basically the premise is that there are 10 prisoners who have all committed murder in a way, and the system is all about like ethics and whether they're guilty or not. And with guilty, it doesn't mean like did they commit the murder or whether they're involved in a death, like because that's everyone. But more of like were they justified in what they did. And then we have stuff like someone was stuck in a cult and killed one of their parents because according to the cult's belief, that's what's like the punishment for people that are making mistakes, and the parent was making mistakes. Someone killed their sister, I think, on like a fit of psychosis. Someone had an abortion. Someone has DID, dissociative identity disorder, and the alter committed the crime, not the actual person. It's like it's all deaths and also like direct murders, but it's all about debating about whether they're guilty or not. And it's through a 3-trial system. And the trials are basically music videos that are created from extracted memories that tell their point of view. And then for every trial, the public can vote whether they're guilty or not. And based on that decision, the behavior changes. Because if you tell someone that defended themselves against someone and was feeling guilty, but then people are telling you like, oh my god, no, you were absolutely right in killing that person, they get a kind of a superiority complex. But if you tell that person, oh my god, you killed that person, like even if you were defending yourself, like that's absolutely not done, they get very depressed. Do you see what I'm going here? So far we have had 2 trials and 2 of these decisions for every prisoner. Several prisoners have died at this point because of other circumstances, because prisoners can fight amongst themselves if they want to. I don't think it was his sister literally, although for the newcomers I'm not gonna spoil much. I mean, it was also for like, as an example, there's so much more complicated, and the half of it is probably still not true because we don't know everything. So the first music video tells a really loose story of events, like it doesn't really tell who died, how they died, why they died. And then in the second music video for trial 2, suddenly there's a lot more clarity and it's a lot more direct and a lot more actually explaining stuff. And then when we arrive to trial 3, it actually starts explaining people's backstory. Because, yeah, it's like for the last trial, right? So, and to accompany every music video, we have a voice drama that explains some of the lore. That it is literally the conversation that the warden has with the prisoner before they extract their memories for the next trial for the new music video. So it's all lore and stuff. I think you can enjoy MILGRAM, but just the songs, it just takes a lot more piecing together. And some things are not obvious if you don't have the direct context of the voice drama. I have spent 9 streams on MILGRAM. So far, there's a whole playlist on my VOD channel. Does this command work? It does. There's a whole playlist of 9 streams of we react to MILGRAM. And now I just react to everything that comes out. Oh yeah, that's understandable. Their stories are so complicated to explain. You can't really say what is right and wrong subjectively. It's a very big thing in MILGRAM discussions. Yeah, like even if you go full spoilers trying to explain someone's story in like a few sentences, it still doesn't make any sense. And if you go in without any context and someone just tells you that, I don't think you even get spoiled like that because it just doesn't make any sense. Obviously, there are some details that are a bit more spoilery, but like... But also we need to wait for the ads to be over. Actually, let me look up the direct playlist while the ads are running. It's more like Forgiven or Unforgiven because really all of them are guilty. Yeah. It's a whole thing of like, according to the law, even that's fake, but like for most of them, according to the law, they're just guilty of like first degree murder. Easy as that. And for some people that it's like death by fault, if that's the correct translation. Like it's not murder, but it's like you caused that death directly, or like you are responsible for that death. Like you could have done something differently to prevent that death from happening. Hi chat. Okay, let me grab this playlist. There's 10 streams? So there's 10 streams, chat. I swear to God, like, look at this. 2 hours, 2.5 hours, almost 5 hours, 3.5 hours, 3.5 hours, almost 4 hours, 3.5 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 1.5 hour. Brother, the fuck? And now Moose Trial is gonna be in October, a few weeks ahead. Ooh. It's hard to say, they're all guilty, with some characters they're having very complicated sins to define it as murder by the law. Yeah, and then there's also like one person just had an abortion. But obviously because this takes place in Japan, it's like a whole thing, right? And most of the world would have something against that. Yeah, here is the playlist of all the MILGRAM streams if you want to watch it. This is more than 24 hours of footage. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot turn off ads in that regard. Like, I run 3 minutes of ads every hour. Usually I go AFK or talk about nonsense, so you don't miss anything. But if you do end up coming in right when I do mid-rolls, yeah, that's 3 minutes of ads. And unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that. Because I run 3 minutes of ads to make sure that new people coming in don't get an ad just for coming in. Usually I go use the toilet and I go to my really fancy BRB screen. But now I was just yapping. Unfortunately, if I turn, like, I can't even turn off ads. Like, the minimum is 30 seconds, an hour, but then people that come in also have ads. Yeah. Never mind me, carry on. No, I just want to explain, right? Because I do feel guilty about that. It's just really unfortunate. Phone died, that's why I'm asking. Okay, so here we go. Let me turn this off. I'm busy with making big compilation videos of all my reactions. That's less than the actual streams. Yeah, this is the voice drama of Futa. For the context of him, he was basically a Twitter white knight kind of thing. He was just messing with people online, and he went too far and it ended up in a girl killing herself, and that's his sin, basically. Yes, it's that dark. But because he has been found guilty at first, he went like this whole spiral, like, oh my god, I've done such a bad thing. And then he was found not guilty. And then he was like, oh my god, so he was like in a mentally really bad place. And then he was basically told in like a really excessive way, like, oh no, you were totally right for what you did. So he felt labeled guilty again. I don't even remember. Anyway, because someone in the prison was part of a cult, she basically started her own, and he joined. So he has gone quite mental, if that's like the correct word for that. It was guilty then innocent. Yeah. So like the first time he was seen as guilty, he basically spiraled, being like, oh my god, I'm such a bad person. And then he was found innocent, and he was basically told, like, oh my god, what you did was totally right, my guy. Like, you're not at fault. Like, that girl just, like, did that for attention. Like, something like that, right? I don't know the details, but that's, like, it's a system that's, like, artificially inflating that feeling in someone. And now he joined a cult. Because he was mentally in such a bad place. Man is so silly. Yeah, but she could also be the most dangerous prisoner there is because of her beliefs. Oh, and this is the warden. He's called Ass. They are called Ass. Which is funny. That's why I placed my camera here. Because we are Ass.
随分様子が変わったな、ふた。
お前こそあの立派な帽子はもうかぶらないのかよ。
ああ、いいんだもう。
Oh, and for context, S is like
今見たらそこまで恐れる
Has
ことは
no
ないのかもしれ
memories.
ない。あの人の言う通りだ。
なんだ、お前は僕を恐れていたのか。
ああ、今思えばな。お前を恐れていたんだ。俺の行いを明らかにして責めるつもりだってな。
今は違うと。
なあ、もうお前がどう思うかなんてどうでもいいんだ。ずっと聞こえてるうるさい声も関係ない。俺の基準はもう別のところにある。
その基準が天音の開く新しい宗教だということか。
まあ、そうだよ。どうした？なんか文句があるのかよ。
いや、
信仰は自由だろ。
ああ、その通りだな。
お前が宗教に対してどういうイメージを持ってようと自由だけどな。実際に俺は救われてる。俺にとっちゃそれが全てだ。
Oh my god, like, if you, like, the cult thing, even if you don't have context, you probably can imagine, like, it was a really religious cult, but to the point, like, the little girl that's in the prison, she's like 12, she got in trouble for bandaging a stray cat that got hurt. And to punish her for what she did, they killed the cat. Which is insane, because the whole thing is like, oh my god, God is like the all-seeing healer. If that cat is meant to live and heal, God will see to it. So if you're managing him and like giving him medical treatment, you're in the wrong. Oh yeah, she got tased and like waterboarded and everything. Like, she was punished for helping the cat, and the punishment included killing said cat. It wasn't even her cat. They sent him to the brink of psychologically breaking while physically getting beaten. I can't blame him for joining that faith. Oh yeah, no, he was beyond help at that point. Like, he would have needed to be like enlisted in a psych ward and got like immediately professional help and medication. We're far beyond that. Oh, and then there's also the fun little tidbit of between trials, S goes to sleep and months pass. And then S wakes up like it's the next day. And all of these interrogations take like a couple days at most. And S goes back to sleep. So after, like, at this point, these prisoners have been in this prison for months, like 4 months at something, without help, without supervision, and only the other prisoners as company. Like, just that is already gonna mess you up. She got abused so much to give Amanda some benefit of doubt. I don't think she would continue that cycle of hurting, although the principles about the context of violence and medical neglect is somewhat harmless. And while S is asleep, all the prisoners can do whatever they want. Yep. Yeah, no, The actions of Amane, the girl in the cold, they're understandable because she is so young. She was abused and hurt and like brainwashed and everything. But it doesn't mean I can condone what she does. But she basically snapped too in some kind of way because she was acknowledging how bad the behavior of the cult was. And now she's like the cult leader herself. So warden sleeps and prison goes to shit. People get hurt, people die. Imagine waking up to a scene like that. It's literally like that gif of the pizza courier just walking into a room and everything is on fire. Like, I imagine, like, that's, like, the vibe. But a lot more serious because actually people are dying, right? But imagine how S reacted waking up to trial 3 and 3 prisoners just literally died. Yep. Some of them were expected because they already got hurt, right? But, jeez.
確かに。少し元気になったな。安心したよ。怪我の調子はもういいのか？
ああ、この痛みも試練なんだ。そう思えば乗り切れる。
そうか。痛まないなら何よりだ。
I don't think that's what he meant.
少し意外だな。お前は俺の信仰を
Ooh,
逃げ
he's
だと表現す
oddly
るかと思った
aware.
ぜ。
そうかもしれない
Oh,
な。
and that thing he has in front of his eye has the cold symbol on it.
深い絶望の中、必死で手繰り寄せた糸が信仰だったというこ
Oh,
と
yeah.
は理解
Faith
で
is
きる。
definitely something people cling on
何かを言う
when
気に
they're
はならない
in
な。
deep trenches and need to make sense of their reality.
お前。
お前が言うか。ただ意外ではあったよ。お前はアマネを子供だとバカにしていたと記憶している。勝手な印象だが、そういう相手の話を聞くタイプには
I
思え
mean,
な
he
かったからな。
wasn't that type of guy, but now he is because his mental just broke. He's
俺は
not
そう
the
いう
same
やつだ
guy
った。
anymore.
俺が間違っていた。間違っていたんだよ。今までの俺が全部。
大したものだ。
I'm just impressed with the
今までのお前からは出ない言
non-verbal
葉だ。
俺がどんな人殺してミルグラムに呼ばれたかはもう分かってんのか？
インターネットでの誹謗中傷およびその扇動、その結果誰かが命を落とすことになった。そんなところだろう。
ああ、それで間違いねえよ。俺が炎上を引き起こした。自殺したのは女子中学生。
Middle school? That's like 12 to 15.
今までは
あの子は俺が殺したんだ。
Bruh.
叶うなら謝りたい。できないことも分かってる。
Okay, I've grown up as a Christian. Like, I didn't really believe it was just how I was raised. But, like, if you wronged someone and that person is dead, doesn't prayer, like, I was completely of the understanding that prayer was, like, the thing you could always do. Even to people that are dead. Because the words would reach them. And, like, yeah, I can totally see that maybe he meant that, like, apologize personally. And not, like, through messenger bird. Like, holy messenger bird. probably shows what kind of like subset of religion he's using.
お前は正義のためだと言っていたはずだ。
それを理由にしていただけだった。別に大層な理由なんてなかった。人生退屈でつまらなかった。炎上系インフルエンサーなんてもてはやされて、結局人が不幸になるところが好きだったんだよ。自分の快感を満たすために正義を、世直しを名乗っただけだ。その結果、人を死に至らせた。俺は人殺しだよ。間違いない。
Even if he joined the cult to realize it, it's still kind of nice that he is realizing that he fucked up, right? Because a lot of people off themselves because of online harassment and bullying and all kinds of like cyber bullying and stuff. And none of them really own up to be like, okay, yeah, I actually killed that person. So for him to do so is actually really nice.
その考えに至ったのは
Even if it's fiction.
アマネの宗教がきっかけなのか。
あの人がアマネが俺に
Majority
教
of
え
the
て
fandom
くれたこ
expected
とっ
him
て
to have lost it completely. It almost feels like the opposite.
いや、
Yeah, in
詳しい
ways,
経緯まで
yes.
は知らない。
He's a lot more
僕
self-aware.
が知っているのは治療行為を禁忌としているらしいことくらいだ。
俺を立ち直らせる方法だよ。俺のやったことを真剣に聞いてくれたんだ。
Who's
本当に
they?
俺が思ってることを引き出してくれた。俺のバカさ加減を叱ってくれて、俺が本当に反省するまで付き合ってくれたんだ。
アマネが
笑えるだろ。小学生の道徳みたいな綺麗な話を。
Oh,
ずっ
because
と同じように
Amane
して
is
んだ。
now acting like multiple entities?
人に迷惑をかけちゃいけない。
Hey.
他人の不幸を喜んじゃいけない。人の道を外れちゃいけない。毎日真剣に出せ。
そうなのか。
あの人は真剣に俺を救おうとしたんだ。俺みたいなやつを。
Futa is a 50-50 of mine. I've had qualms and experience of people doing deplorable acts and suddenly finding faith to seek redemption and forgiveness. The question of why do you need religion to just make you be aware of the awful things you should be doing? Yeah, with Futa, it begs you the question, if they really want to seek atonement, why still ask for more if they're already suffering? Honestly, with anything Futa is saying, like, he is oddly self-aware, but also let's realize that he is not in a great mental state. So he's probably not making completely rational decisions. But yeah, if you go in real life, I think it was like I saw some news coverage of the P. Diddy trial, and they said like, oh, he has been reading the Bible during trial every day, and I'm like, is he like, does he realize how badly he fucked up, and like he figured out that the only way to feel good about himself is to join a religion that's all about forgiveness? Or is he just doing it for the PR? Because being like, oh my god, I did those things, but now I'm a man of God, like, respect me. Because it doesn't really matter how we want to put it. Being like a Christian or like a Catholic, or at least like a religion that believes in like God as a concept, definitely gives you brownie points with a lot of people in the Western entertainment business. Even if it's like middle-aged white moms from Arizona. I don't even know if Arizona is like really religious, but I'm just saying something, right? You got what I mean. So I don't know what it is, but it's always the people that convert to religion later in life and following doing something really bad that are like some of the most batshit insane people. And Futa seems to be on the normal end of that spectrum. And I think Futa is really in a vulnerable place, even if insightful, he's mentally in a very awful state, though it's quite surprising that the fate itself made him self-reflect and aware. Yeah. I do have to say, like, there was a point in time, like, I grew up with Christian parents, Christian family, Christian school, just really Christian, right? Even though we didn't really practice in that regard, I was raised to like pray before dinner and not take the Lord's name in vain and stuff like that. It's a lot better nowadays because a lot of them realize, oh no, this is probably not something that fits us. We just grew up like that. Even my grandma is saying that, right? Stupid stuff like, oh, you shouldn't work on Sundays. Like, my aunt still doesn't work in her front garden on Sundays because she doesn't want to offend her neighbors. My mom doesn't do it either. Like, she even tells my dad, like, hey, if you want to do something, do it in the backyard. Which is crazy. But when I was a kid, I was bullied a lot. And I used religion. And I really went on like this whole shriek about it. To like give myself comfort and like pray to God to like help stop the bullies. Mind you, I was like 7 years old. Like, that's really sad that my only direction I could go was like praying to God because no adult in my life was taking any responsibility for how badly I was being treated by the other kids. And eventually, I got out of that because I realized if God loves all of his children, why the fuck is this happening to me and why the fuck is he not hearing my prayers? Which brought me to the conclusion either God is not real or I am not one of God's children. Which made me realize that religion is not for me. So I've always been really, really skeptical because of how much bad there is in the world. But I do tend to respect people that have religion, even though I can be a bit crass in my stream sometimes. As long as you're not trying to convince me of something and push something on me, we can get along pretty well. However, this behavior of mine did make it that I wasn't invited to a whole bunch of birthday parties. Even though, the girl wanted to, but you're not gonna invite, like, how do you call it? Like, if you are a really strictly religious family that has, like, one PC that people share, and the only reason she even got a phone to begin with was because she had to cycle to school for a lot of time and often had, like, problems with her bike. So she couldn't even call to school to tell them they were late, right? She still got, like, one of those folding phones. Which were already, like, old back then, right? So, like, obviously, they're not gonna allow her to invite someone that's, like, questioning their religion. I think in their mind, I might have just been an actual demon spawn, right? Oddly, someone reminiscing of Amane's situation, the adults failed her and she created her own cult because she doesn't abide with the extremities, yet she sticks with the faith itself. Oh, yeah. It's like, religion gone too far can definitely brainwash you to doing the wrong thing. Even if those teachings were not intended to be like that. Because you're a kid and you're just told something and you don't really think outside of that and you're just taking the word for it. Even if the parents do understand that there is, like, some liberties to be taken. Oh, that reminds me, the girl I was just talking about, right? In her previous stream, we were watching one of Amane's voice dramas. I started realizing that that girl might have been part of a cult. And I've not been able to find any social media presence of her still. So, honestly, it's still entirely possible that she was just part of a cult. Would have made everything a lot more sense, but to be fair, I have met regular religious people that are just as extreme. Anyway, before I get myself cancelled, let's continue.
おかげで自分の行いを見つめ直すことができた。そうなってみりゃ、日々芽生えるのは罪の意識だ。自分の行いの重さがのしかかる。きついよな。どうしようもねってのは。
Guilt definitely is one of the toughest emotions.
僕は でも指導や真昼を殺したその宗教を肯定することはできない。
あ
Yep.
あ、そうだろうよ。
お前は
So it isn't even like that they killed them because they were hurt and they were medically neglected. No, they were actually just killed. Like full on slasher movie.
何も思わないのか。
思うよ。でも俺にはあの人を信じるしか道がない。
お前は
治療禁止なんつうのはまともじゃねえよ。分かってる。俺に説いていたのも子供が語るありふれた綺麗事なのかもしれねえ。分かってる。でも間違いな
Oh,
く
the whole shtick is just falling apart
お
before
父
our
っつぁん
eyes.
救いだったんだ。
He's literally just hanging on that tiny,
救われ
tiny
るって
bit of
ここ
hope.
からでもやり直せるって信じてくれる誰かが必要だった。殺した人間にだって祈り続ければいつか謝罪の気持ちが届くって言ってくれたらよ。それを信じるしかないだろう。なんだよその顔。お前が救ってくれてもよかったんだぜ。
僕はお前に愛に救われるなんて言わないよ。
Wait, this is like such hypocritical nonsense. Being like, oh, it wouldn't be fine if you saved me. You were found innocent last time and you went on a religious spree. That's not Ass's fault.
そうだよな。
僕は神ではない人間だからだ。
あ、お前が正しいよ。
Yeah, to the prisoners, S looks
俺は
like
弱いから。
they have all the power
俺が
there.
罪に向き
But
合う
S
に
is
は
also just a
そ
pawn.
れしかないからあの人についていく。そう決めたんだ。
間違っていたとしてもか。
ああ、間違ってたとしてもだ。救われた俺くらいはついていってあげたい。
ついていってあげたい。
あの人の根幹にあるのは生きづらいくらいの純粋さだと思うからよ。近くにいてやりてえんだ。
そうか。
Well, I think Futa had a point. We affirmed Kodako in beating his ass, and as pulled that stunt where they took back what they said about being companions in his T2 3D. So ultimately, Futa took the brunt of that unforgiven verdict when we made it worse just because we saw him in pain. I think Futa is more so saying that Amane was there and S wasn't. Not their fault or anything, it's just that they were asleep at the time. Yeah, and that's like what he said. That he's basically referring as like a god in this situation. It's like the president holds all of the power, while S is also just a pawn. But they don't really know that or see it that way because all they see is that they're locked up somewhere and there's some fuck-ass rabbit and a 15-year-old that have their lives and futures and fates in their hands. And that guy just like makes a massive decision about their lives, influencing how they're treated by the prison. Like, if you are found guilty, like, often you get, like, physical restraints, or your food is worse. You have all these voices in your head telling you, like, you're wrong, you did something bad. Like, everyone go insane from that. And then the person just disappears for months, and then comes back and does it again. And that's not Ass's fault, because Ass doesn't even know he's here. An unforgivable verdict made him think that he was a hopeless person. We just forgave him because our affirmation of him being tortured physically and psychologically made him feel remorse. Yep. But it's like, I don't think there's a good path. Because if you affirm someone and say that they are not guilty, or you forgive them for all 3 trials, they will just go insane. Because even if you did everything correctly, you still need to be steered to the other side to make you aware of what you did. Otherwise, you'll get an ego that's so inflated, or you'll literally start a cult. Like, even if you didn't grow up in one like Amane, you'd easily think that you're God. But on the other hand, if you say that someone is not guilty for all 3 trials, they just start spiraling and probably off themselves. But if you flip-flop between the two, it gets even worse. So like it's so like there's no good option here. So I don't think they would cling on to S. He himself saw S as being cut of the same cause, although it's not S's fault for being forced to go to sleep, nor Futa's fault for being part of Hamana's code. The system is just breaking these people apart. I think if he got not guilty the first try, he might have ended up like Mu. Yeah. Because Mu, who got found innocent throughout, just became cold. And like her personality started to fade away. And she just became a husk of a person. Because she did know that what she did wasn't completely good. But she was still affirmed to be like, oh, what you did was not wrong at all. Like, that can mess you up just as much. Like, you know you did something wrong. Even though, like, having an abortion is not something that's wrong. It's still like, you made a radical decision about something related to life, or what could have been life. Like, that's still something you should sit with. Even if it's completely your decision, and you should be able to take that decision, it's still something radical that you did. So to be affirmed that like, oh no, there was absolutely nothing wrong with what you did, can totally make you spiral as well. Mu got validated so hard and she went cocky and somewhat desperate to claim her innocence because she know how fickle the system and the judgment is. I think Futa knows that and give up on S. Wait, Mu... Wait, no, Mu was another... Okay, I'm switching up names. Mu was a bully. Yeah, I was talking about, you know, Mu was a bully, but it didn't look like she was the bully. It looked like she was being bullied, and he ended up killing someone to like out of desperation, because if they didn't, like either they would have killed themselves or they would have killed her in some way, right? But it turns out she was the bully. People caught on and started like casting her out. Then she was all alone, became desperate. That's how someone died. And being made to look like an accident. But yeah, because of how it was framed, it looked like she was being bullied. And like, oh my god, you just did it out of desperation. And then she got all crazy, being like, ah, see? So I was justified in just offing this person because they wronged me. Even if they immediately let her say like, if the immediate response was like, oh my god, you did something bad, I think she might have just actually killed herself. Unironically. Because she was already thinking about that because of the bullying. And you would have only like struck that home even deeper.
I
don't think anyone in this prison is able to start over on their own. They all need professional help. Good question. Do you want to be forgiven? That's the thing, humans always care. Even a little bit. I mean, that's true. I think yes. With an asterisk.
わからない。でも、誰かの許すの一言がそのきっかけになればいいなとは思うんだ。
なんだよ、お前。俺のことを許そうとしてんのか。
それはまだわからない。
だろうよ。
でも安心しろ。僕の中の誰かはきっとお前を許すよ。
どういうことだ？
Someone inside me?
まだ
What?
確信を得ているわけではないんだ。
Huh?
なんだよ。
おそらく僕の中に
Are they breaking the fourth wall? They kind of like low-key acknowledge that. Okay, so if you just break the fourth wall, the people vote whether someone is guilty or not. And that's what in-universe has as the verdict and what happens in the storyline. So in-universe, it looks like S made the decision. And the rest of the things unfolding are like written as if S always made that decision, right? But on multiple occasions, they acknowledge that there's forces outside and that there are people watching and stuff. But now, it looks like they're actually acknowledging that S is not making decisions on their own. There's like a hive mind that works through them. A self-insert theory, that mostly, yeah. I think Futa doesn't care in the sense that he has given up on himself and the only thing he can do is believe on wishful thinking that his apology may reach that girl. His comment about Amane is still worthy of being saved says a lot about how he views himself. The kid who killed 2 people directly and caused someone to die due to sad execution is someone more worthy of being saved than him. Which, wow. Yeah. It's complicated. Because I think Futa is just seeing that Amane is just a damaged child. And yeah, often they have more chances on redemption than someone older. But also, he is only in his 20s as well, like teens even. He's not even that much older. And he is a lot less fucked up. I say they have equal chances. But either way, they need professional help.
には複数の意志が存在する。
はあ？何言ってんだ？
もしかしたらこれ自体がミルグラムの機能の一つなのかもしれないが。
どういうことだよ。
思い当たる節はいくつもあった。記憶の欠落、混同、真反対の思想、価値観の同居、そしてアイデンティティの5人。それこそとっさに自分を複数人だと認識してしまうような。
That's really interesting.
ああ、まるでアマネのようだろう。そして何より僕自身は審判に参加していない。
審判？許す許さないを決めるってことか。
あ
あ。おい、俺たちの許す許さないを自分で決めてないっつうのかよ。
正確には審判の際に僕の中に何者かの意
Oh,
志が流れ込んでくる。
this is some insane lore acknowledgement.
そ
What?
してそれはおそらく無数の意志。何万。
This is not even breaking the fourth wall. This is just acknowledging the viewers as a canon part of the storyline. Chat, we are part of the MILGRAM storyline, canonically. Amane is a damaged child. She did mess up things for sure, but it's because she got abused relentlessly into having beliefs that caused her to act like that. Oh yeah, she is a damaged child. Again, they need professional help. I think someone can do deranged things that they can still be held accountable for in a certain degree, while also being a product of their circumstances. I'm part of the story, Mom, do you see this?
いや、何十万の規模の。お前たちが監獄の中で聞いたという自分を許さない人々の声という証言とつなげることもできる。僕は意識の濁流。
So like, from the start, it just seems like the prison was mentally abusing people that got found guilty or not guilty by projecting like voices saying that. But they're now canonically acknowledging a theory that people had that those voices are the literal voices of the viewers having sat judgments. Which is ironic in Futa's case, because he used to be one of those voices online to actual people, right? He was like the bad voice towards people to the point that someone offed themselves. And that also happened inside of MILGRAM because of those voices. This is insane.
に飲まれて消える。気づいたら終わっているんだ。 審判は。
じゃあなんだ、俺たちの許す許さないをその何十万の誰かが勝手に話し合ってるとでも言うのかよ。
あくまで可能性の話だがな。
話としちゃ面白い。悪趣味で笑えるぜ。まるで昔の俺たちだ。
そうかもしれない。だから僕はミルグラムのことをもっと知る必要がある。
Dude, the conclusion to this story is gonna be
自分だけの選択
insane.
をするために。
Before we go any further, a theory of mine I had is that S is like the winner of a past MILGRAM, and then get put on as a warden. It's like as a winner being like the last person standing, a bit Hunger Games style, right? And that's why they had to like erase his memory, because they couldn't remember. They shouldn't be able to remember being in MILGRAM and knowing what happens in MILGRAM and also what happens at the end of MILGRAM, because you cannot tell the people, because otherwise the system doesn't work anymore. But I also think, with how the story is going, that they're not gonna make it to the end of the last trial. Like, they're gonna do some sort of prison escape, or they're gonna use the MILGRAM system to, like, do something to break it or whatever. Use it to their advantage. And I think S is gonna be the catalyst for that.
それ自体がミルグラムの意思に反するのかもしれないけどね。
Oh yeah, and there's still no indication whether this is being
変わったもんだな。何かにつけて
it's like a dream or like sorted online virtual reality, a pocket dimension.
本当にそうだな。覚えて
Like
るか
whether this is actually physically happening is still unclear.
僕とお前
Especially because the sprites of people that died are just like staticky silhouettes, as if they're like glitching. So it's entirely possible that people that died aren't really dead, they just got out, right?
は同類だと言ったこと。
なあ、言ったな。
あの時は否定したが、お前の言う通りだ。僕とお前は同類だ。
It says no
自
signal.
分がないからすがって
Exactly.
いたんだ。ミルグラムに。
And the way that the prison is able to protect us as the warden from physical harm by physically like spawning invisible walls or making people unable to do something that would harm us. Like, that's some magic shit, right? So this happening in some sort of simulation would make a lot of sense. I also hear that MILGRAM may be somewhat simulation, when MILGRAM itself is going to enforce new rules based on the verdicts given to the prisoners. Like, you know, being forgiven means lesser offenses and zero judgment for people who will be having abortions, doing sex work, stigmatizing depression. Ooh, that's a cool... That's one way to create laws. Holy shit. I think that the Statikin once their T3 videos drop because Haruka looks relatively normal. Oh, yeah. But the fact that they even used that imagery is probably a hint. Like, they could have used, like, a blank silhouette. They could have used anything, right? And we would have understood what it meant. Like, even if they had, like, the red to black gradient over the actual silhouette. But no, they made it staticky. And nothing they have been doing with MILGRAM is unrelated.
僕にはそれしかないから。
じゃあ、お前はなんでミルグラムに使ってればいいじゃねえか。
決まってる。お前たちが大切だからだ。お前たちがミルグラムによって裁かれるのが本当に正しいのかわからなくなったからだ。
I mean, you followed it blindly
すぐるのを
anyway.
やめられたかどうかはわからないけどね。今だって怖い。わからないことばかりだ。 曖昧だったものに触れるのは怖くてたまらないよ。でも僕にとって、そしてきっと僕の中のたくさんの人間にとって、お前たちは大切なものになりすぎた。
S。
何人も失って分かった。僕はバカだから。
Imagine realizing something about yourself because the fucking hind-mind of viewers already have been calling you as you're so fucking stupid. That's hilarious. Not gonna lie.
僕の中の誰かはそんなこととっくに気づいていたのにな。
そんなことね。そんなことねえ。そんなことねえよ。S。俺いろんな人間見てきたんだ。自慢じゃねえけどよ。
フータ。
人間なんて全員バカだ。全員どこかしら間違ってる。それが人間だろ。俺が保証してやる。
何が言いたいんだ。
もう何言ってるかわかんねえけどよ。なんかよ、お前も普通の人間だっつうことじゃねえのかよ。それでいいじゃねえか。
励ましてくれてるのか、それ。
知らねえよ。思ったことを言っただけだ。
Uh-oh. Well, time's up. Time for the music video.
やんのか。
ああ、ミルグラムの監視としてじゃない。ただの僕としてお前のことを知りたいから。
そうかよ。なあ、S。
なんだ。
Oh.
どうするかは。
I wonder, because usually people are kind of resistant to the whole like taking memories and turning it into a music video, aside from I think it was Juno who was like, oh, I'm gonna show you everything, right? And it was a really clear music video, while others still have been kind of fake. So if Futa goes in new music video being like, oh, so you're not trying to persecute me, you're just trying to get to know me, it's probably gonna be a lot more personal, because he went into it with that intention and allowing certain things to be accessed. I agree with as is it really right for you to be judged here? Like, what more do we want from these people now? All of them took so much trauma from this prison, it's hard to even judge them without the confines of this hellhole. Oh, and it's definitely a thing in real life as well. If someone is judged, like in an actual court for something, but they were made fun of online, their reputation is broken, or they went through a lot of mental distress, well, waiting trial, or because of what they did, sometimes they get a sentence reduction because the court already sees that they served a partial punishment because of that. And that adding more on that will not do more or will be unfair. Especially when it's like related to people that are celebrities or accidentally went viral. Because those are circumstances that not everyone has. Like, there's a bunch of people that would do the same thing, but if they don't go viral, they don't have the same punishment. So to send someone to jail for the exact same amount of time for the same crime, but one person went viral and was cyberbullied and stalked and doxxed and everything, and the other person just continued their life, reducing the sentence of the other person so it's actually even makes sense. And it's actually happening in real life.
これから決めるんだろうけど、できればこのミルグラムとかいう場所をぶっ潰してくれ。俺の代わりにな。
He's talking like he's gonna die.
ここはクソだぜ。俺が言うんだから間違いね。
ゆっくり考えてみるよ。僕だけの選択を。それだけは自分で決めるから。
Now I wonder if there's a poll for Futa this time around.
今からミルグラムの力でお前の心象を覗かせてもらう。
プライバシーの侵害だろ。ふざけんな。
You have nothing to talk about that.
お前の言う通りだったな。
だろ？
ああ、楽しかったよ、フータ。
じゃあな、S。
梶山フータ、お前の罪を歌え。
Oh, I love that they put his actual trial at the very end. I really hope S's choice that they mention here includes destroying or going against MILGRAM, maybe even breaking the guilty innocent voting system. It really depends on whether he can. Because it's entirely possible that the system will still force him to make a choice based on what we want him to do. Also, there's an app playing in 7 minutes. We yet for almost an hour for a 16-minute voice drama. And I really, really need to use the bathroom. So I'm gonna put you in beer back and I'll see you in a bit. Please go stretch your legs, get something to drink and everything, and then we go ham on the song, okay? See you in a bit. Oh, I was muted. You think that after 4 years of streaming, I would unmute myself when I come back from BRB, right? No. That's just not a thing I'm doing, apparently. So now we are going to listen to his song. And for people for who it's the first time, MILGRAM, it's gonna be a music video. It's gonna be a banger song. And both the lyrics and the video are gonna hold hints and indication of who he is, how he feels, what really happened. But it's often not literal. There can be stuff that's very literal, but you have to like read between the lines a little bit sometimes. Though Trial 3 is often the most clear of all. So good luck, have fun. Oh yeah, the song is called Appare March. Oh, what's this? Wait. Is that a message or is it just him singing in a way that's like making fun of the pronunciation of the words? So like SpongeBob meme, right? Oh yeah, he was some kind of vigilante. That's why he did what he did online, right? He just went really bad. And he loved the attention. God, he was insane already. Like, he was going after even people with locked accounts. He was really just stalking people. Hey, is this a part from a previous song? Yeah, it is. Yeah, he even went to a funeral, and in some clips it looked like he was doxing someone, and then people told me like, oh no, that is like a sign people put outside when there's like a funeral happening, and then he went to the funeral, and then he's surprised that there is someone actually dead. And this is why he realized what he did. Oh, what you said, that this is his version of Amane's Purge March. That actually makes sense, because here he has the same look in his eyes with like the spirals and everything that signified like the brainwashed parts of Amane's story. Like every time she was living in this brainwashed reality, you would see the spirals in her eyes as well. And now you see it too, and he also has all the flags, but his flags are all torn. Oh wait, he turned off the symbols that were on Amane's flags. And everything is burning. So it does look like he is rejecting some parts of what Amane has been preaching, while also using it to his advantage. That's insane, I love that. It's all very makeshift. Oh, and like, his first music video was like very video game based, but now he is like, he's a comic book hero. An undead hero, Jesus Christ. The logo isn't even a flag to a person. Amane and the lessons how he's immersing himself, yet the curl itself is not there. It's like he is still using it to talk himself in, like, that he did nothing wrong. Like, he's not as indoctrinated. So he's just following with the attempt to being like, oh, this is the only way I can be salvaged, without fully believing in it. It does start to sound similar to what I described, with a lot of criminals suddenly turning to God, because that's the only way they can be forgiven, because they are aware of what they did is like so unforgivable that the law is not gonna forgive them, the people around them is not gonna forgive them. It's like the only person or entity to turn to is God. And even that is still an excuse, because they don't truly believe. And that's what they're showing here, which is so interesting. Oh, I love that this is issue number 3. Like, this is the 3rd trial, right? Oh, sick. And now we got his file with all of the information, like everyone else so far. Okay, let's read. Born in 1999 in Osaka City, Osaka Prefecture, Futa Kajiyama is a student at university in Tokyo, living on his own. He is bored, idling away his time with no sense of purpose or goals for the future. Oh my god, he started all this because he was bored? Jesus Christ! His hobby is to scoop viral controversies on social media. He once made go viral an inappropriate post by a restaurant employee. He exposed identifiable information, sent letters of grievances to the company, and extracted a public apology. So he started doxing people and like harassing them on their job, and basically being like, oh my god, you did that? Let me call your boss. What the fuck? This experience further whetted his appetite and habit of social media monitoring. Futa reveled in his success and repeatedly dispensing vigilante justice, and made a name for himself as an influencer within this community. He kept watch over social media activities, discovered wrongdoers, imparted vigilante justice, and received accolades from his peers. Within this echo chamber, he quenches thirst for justice. Wrongdoers will disappear from this world because of him. He did not doubt that what he was doing was just. Jesus Christ. Futa is unfortunately very realistic. Yup. Like it's giving him some sense of fulfillment in his life. I think it's less boredom and more some of his life felt empty, and doing this made him feel fulfilled. The fact that there are so many people online that are this, like the MILGRAM fans might not know this, but within the VTuber community, there are people that make videos on recent happenings, like news. But often, it's not just news, it's drama bait or drama tuber kind of shit. And there are rumors that people have graduated or quit the internet or quit their jobs and stuff because of that, because of how much harassment they received or how much misinformation was being posted about them. So like, and there are so many people that are like actual drama tubers, right? That are just posting about any drama, even if it isn't from fellow content creators. Jesus Christ. It's true. Fun fact, this Futa trial is making people act awful. Literally, some guilty Futa voters doxed an Inno Futa voter. They're literally doing the same thing he did, and then they act like they look down on. What the fuck? Dude, like, that's fucked up on its own, right? But the fact that those people are like, oh my god, this guy's a bad person, and proceed to do the same thing is like, you really missed the message. And like, we already had a theory about how there's so many people that just watch the MVs and are lacking critical context. Which is probably why Amane got voted guilty in the first place in round 1. People were being so nasty about a 12-year-old. So like, people are lacking critical thinking, but also not engaging with the thing fully and lacking critical context, yet still basically going out and treating like this whole thing as like, this is like the thing I'm gonna die on a hill for, while not even interacting with like 90% of the content. The voting process has been crazy, to say the least. We literally got it to a 50-50 at one point. People have not been nice to each other on platforms such as TikTok and Twitter. Wow. Like, this entire project is like, it has so many messages about that right and wrong is such a gray area. And there's so much that we can learn from it. And people, it's just like going over their head. Jesus Christ. The reason why they were being doxxed is because were being weird. They'd be being weird to kids. It just reeks finding reasons to justify their act as a good thing to help others, yet the voting thing is a big reason. Which is even more like what Futa has been doing. Because he is looking for trouble, using it to his own advantage, and then looks for reasons to justify his wrongdoings. Jesus! That's sad and disturbing, but also shows that what is being covered in MILGRAM is not just made up shit. Okay, let's continue. That day, what Futa found was a post by a middle school girl. This middle schooler had posted on her social media feed a picture of herself wearing a hat she had not yet purchased at a clothing store in a shopping center. Futa knew instinctively. This action, so small and insignificant, could go viral at his hands. The reason? Because she was just so beautiful. So he understands thoroughly the inclinations of his peers. Wait, so what? So because she was pretty, he decided to expose her for stealing or something? So he's not just a social justice warrior, he's also an incel. What the fuck? Yamanaka really clocked the whole community with this one. There might be some shaky parts in his writing, but he definitely understands how people work. Yeah, I mean, if you write something this big, there's bound to be things that are shaky, incorrect, or whatever. As long as the main point stands strong, that's what counts with something like this. Because if you have any media literacy, it shouldn't matter if details are not completely adding on, because you know it's a work of fiction and an actual human being wrote it, and human beings are not perfect. It's I recently got comments on one of my MILGRAM VODs after like a whole time of like not really getting comments. And it was specifically about Mikoto's dissociative identity disorder. And I think it was someone with the ID, or knew someone with the idea that was like, I have problems with his depiction, with the depiction of his of the DID, mostly because of the whole evil altar thing that's been popularized in media. But also acknowledging that what they're trying was in a good direction, and it was just an unfortunate like context. There was like unintentionally working in those stereotypes, and that happens a lot, right? Like sometimes you can have like really good bisexual representation in a show, but then you see that bisexual person cheat on their boyfriend with a girl, which is a stereotype, or that just bisexual cheating to begin with, right? And often that's really unfortunate, and usually the writers are not intentionally doing that, or they had like a certain type of story and it unfortunately overlapped with a stereotype. Well, that was not the point, right? But there's also like a stereotype is a stereotype for a reason, and there are people that just simply believe that to be true. And sometimes that's just something that happens, and that's just really unfortunate with Mikoto. But I have had several people that are like, I have problems with this depiction, but also acknowledging that what they're trying to do. If the evil altar stigma didn't exist, then I think Mikoto and Jun would have been a lot more acceptable, but it's just unfortunate. Futa has misogynistic sentiments, and I think him being a chamber of people saying the exact same thing he would full and jump on that bandwagon as he feels so empty. Like literally people being part of right-wing spheres just because they want to. It's not that he's a literal incel, he's jumping on this community because he belongs in a community that makes him have a sense of having a fulfilling life, which realistically feels surreal to me. Oh yeah, like a whole problem with all of these right-wing grifters and like incel communities and everything is that the people on the top don't really believe in it. They just know that it can give them attention and money. So they lean into it, create drama, create controversy, and cash in. Problem is, because they're influencers or in a position of influence, there are people that actually believe that stuff, but there are also people that will believe that stuff actually because this person with influence says it and preaches it. And there's also a lot of people that are just like have media literacy and know that and just don't engage, right? Even if it's frustrating, even if it's harmful, even if it's bigoted, you know that that person doesn't really believe in it. Like, why do you think that a lot of people that have been very progressive, maybe not like they would go on a pride protest, but they are like trans lives matter, black lives matter, they're like very low-key, very progressive, suddenly turn around and become right-wing grifters, is because their moment of fame is either running out or they just are desperate for attention, and that's the easiest way to get it. Literally. Even if they, like, often they don't even care that the attention they're getting is bad because it's attention. I love this voting process in a way because it feels like people don't know what to do with a situation this nuanced. Do you vote him guilty because he's awful and forgivable crime, or do you vote him innocent because he's realized what he's done is horribly wrong? Milgram can't be trusted, as not knowing what happens to T3 guilty for the characters makes it even more compelling. There's no real right and wrong here, and I do think there's a partial reason for the family exploding like this. Oh yeah, I absolutely love how nuanced everything is. And it's also like, are you voting in every trial still on the crime, or are you using the context or what happened after the previous votes? Because if you're still voting on the crime, which you, with every trial, start to know more and more about, are you like still voting on the crime itself? Because now we know more about his crime, and he is an even bigger dickhead than he was in the first time. But also with the context of him feeling guilty and knowing why he did everything and how he is dealing with that, it doesn't seem like that he is a fully bad person. He just didn't have enough good people around him to keep him away from what he did, and then he just kind of got stuck in that. And I'm not excusing decisions, because he seems to have to be going into like this whole shtick pretty intentionally. But also, if you don't have enough good people around you for you to know like how bad this is or how big the consequences can be, people fall into this stuff really easily. Like, I have been bullied a lot as a kid, so I know what even a little bit of bullying or unkindness can do to a person, even on a small scale. But if you don't have people in your life that tell you that, or you've experienced that, then you think that what you're doing is a lot more innocent than what you actually do. I think what he thought he did is like, I'm actually punishing really bad people, and there's nothing really bad that can come out of it. And that his punishment fit the crime. But he doesn't realize how much dogpiling and online harassment can actually hurt someone to the point that they would want to kill themselves. And that's why he realized that, like, oh my god, I went too far. Like, I did not expect this ever to happen because she only stole a hat, right? So sending her some bad press and bad PR doesn't sound like it's overkill, but he doesn't understand what's happening outside of it. Appare in March feels so villainous because he realized how disgusting his actions really were. The MVs reflect their mindscape. Even, you know, although her crime is really not bordering on murder, for context, Yona is the one that did the abortion, and to be deemed morally grey, her life and her actions also are subjected to a critical lens, as what she is doing is harming herself, yet what borders the line on respecting... Borders the line on respecting one's choice if it's them purposely destroying themselves. Yeah, exactly. So, like, Yuna worked as a... well, not necessarily a sex worker, but she had a lot of sugar daddies because she felt kind of empty inside. And she felt like if she could have love like that, where people pay her for her time and effort and her body, that she would finally feel something inside. And that got her into being pregnant and that guy just bailing on her. And that kind of thing is already... like stigmatized and seen as someone is impure, and then she got an abortion, which is also like a big problem in a lot of the world. But then there's also the fact that she was actively like hurting herself, and she was like very young as well. But she was like, if you do that in the right state of mind for the right reasons, and you're of age so you can give consent, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's also something to be argued about. The only thing bad about it is the fact that she's hurting herself in the process. And that's like the whole thing, because not a lot of people are open-minded enough to really realize that. She is not like some harlot, and she is not doing something terrible. And then there's also people believing like, oh my god, this is just her own fault. She shouldn't be doing that. It's like not the act of what she did is what it resulted into that's bad. Some interesting imagery. At the end of the flags, Futa is the only one picking it up and even trying to apologize. He's the only situation willing to apologize while his audience get to go away without questioning that part and all of this. Oh yeah, so that's why there's so many flags, because everyone just bailed. And he was left to like clean up the trash. You know, Futa have felt like they have such stagnating lives. One was being weighed down by depression while one was being aimless and didn't know what to deal with their lives. I like that MILGRAM is showing how young people are aimless, and that in itself something that we should factor on as normal, while also may lead to indecisive actions. Life honestly really hurts to watch her just have to relive everything. I think what he pulled out of his ass with the hat is that she posted a picture of the hat and he focused on copyright infringement, like my guy pointed out. Look, this cute girl's doing something immoral, the hat is just a justification, which is so petty. Oh yeah. I also love the overlap between MILGRAM characters. And they're doing it intentionally because context matters. But also, like, both Yuno and Futa felt, like, really empty inside or, like, aimless. But in different ways for different reasons, and they decided to deal with it differently. But then you also have Futa that did this all in the name of justice, which is more of an excuse for him because he wants to get the attention more than actually exact judgment. And then you have Kotoko. I'm confusing the name with the VTuber, and I don't know which is which. Okay, I'm gonna go with Kotoko. She also goes out and punishes people, but she doesn't do it for the attention. She does it because she truly believes those people should be punished. Like, she just goes out and, like, kick people ass. Well, she goes out and kicks people's ass and considers that as, like, a punishment, which she never killed someone until she actually did. Which, to be fair, that person seems to be a pedophile, like, kidnapping girls, right? So there was definitely a level of difference between someone doing, like, some white-collar fraud. But still, her doing that is still not okay to do because there is a system for this specifically, but also she was kind of targeting people that kind of got away with it. So even though, if you explain it really quickly, their actions are very similar, the intention behind is very different because she did it because she truly believed it, and he did it and used that belief as, like, a reason to justify what he did, but he just wanted the attention. Yeah, let's see what the second part has to say. Futa got to work immediately, citing her infractions as copyright infringement. Ah, that's what you said. Immoral conduct and other seemingly righteous reasons, lighting a scandal as fire. He flooded social media with this post along with his inflammatory commentary, and it spread like fire among his followers, thirsty for any new scandal. Further research uncovered that this middle school girl was Futa's neighbor. Futa set off right away. He took pictures of her actual house, further escalating the exposure of identifiable information. The girl who finally got wind of this scandal desperately responded by claiming that this was a matter within the scope of personal replication, as such not a crime. However, a fire once lit will not die. Futa sneers as he watches the fire grow. It's also insane, like, canceling someone for copyright infringement for wearing a hat you can buy at a store, so obviously the brand is, like, fine with people wearing it, right? One day, Futa is walking by the girl's house and he sees her funeral taking place. As soon as this scene enters his sight, he turns down his gaze and walks back. His heart races uncontrollably, his sweat is cold, his legs shaking. He locks himself in his house and curls up with his head between his knees. From his phone that he threw on his bed, notifications will not stop ringing. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think what's worse with Yuno is that the implication of her supposedly going to kill herself by jumping from that building, she had suicidal ideation, so she lost a choice in even whether she would keep it or abort it. She generally thought she would die. Oh yeah, so, like, it wasn't, like, a real abortion at, like, the clinic. The kid died because she tried to kill herself. Which is even worse because people blame her even more for that. Like, oh my god, that's even more selfish. The result is that she lived and she had a miscarriage and she felt like a murderer. There's, like, almost a way to vote in this series without being hypocritical. Deciding what's forgivable or not is extremely selfish. And yeah, that's the entire point. And there's also, like, who are we to judge, right? I don't agree with Yuno deserves to be a MILGRAM, but I'm also kind of glad that she is because what she brings to the series is so interesting. Exactly. The series is a curse given to us by some higher being. Honestly, that might just be canon at this point. If you allow me to clarify, he doxed the girl not because of the hat itself, but because trying on clothes without further purchasing is considered a very bad thing in Japan, if I remember correctly. What the fuck? So it was copyright infringement because she hadn't bought the clothes yet, but she took pictures and put it online. Jesus Christ. It adds weight to the idea that MILGRAM doesn't have the right to judge people because it really just picks up whatever it wants, really. Yeah, like, oh, you're responsible for a death? Oh, this person tried to kill you? Yeah, you're gonna go in the same prison as someone who straight up murdered several people because they wanted to. It's crazy. Save all subsequent data to MILGRAM. It's so fucked up, man. Well, in the span of that, I saw this video on my For You page while looking for MILGRAM. And it's from a small channel, smaller than mine. InvisiClown with 408 subscribers, and it got 40k views. Like, that's a lot of views for a small channel, right? Like, what are their other posts? They posted 2 things ever. I am impressed by posting like your first 2 videos and getting this amount of views. But it does say it's outperforming the channel's average, so it's possible that they made videos before and just unlisted them. I watched it, it's very good. Well, let's watch it. I want to react to it anyway, but if you say it's good, then especially. Futa pulled so much excuse out of his ass for the copyright infringement shit. The fact that nobody cared that she had permission says a lot about it. It's not even about justice anymore. Yeah, especially with incels, they just want any reason to justify being mean to women. Because they feel like women are wronging them, but they don't have any proof. So any proof they have to use against women, they're using. Some people pointed out that the wording at the end for Futa's fob is similar to Haruka, so there's a theory Futa might have killed himself from guilt. Jesus. It is also crazy that it took MILGRAM to feel him guilty enough to consider that even. Because when he got into MILGRAM, he didn't even think he did anything wrong. To that degree. Yeah, this video is called MILGRAM, Japan's Greatest Social Experiment, and my chat said it was really good. Disclaimer, there will be spoilers ahead. Well, we're caught up.
Stanley Milgram was an American social psychologist who performed a series of experiments with the mindset of studying obedience and authority. The experiments consisted of subjects believing they are administering electric shocks to other people after being told to do so by an authority
I've heard about
figure.
this experiment.
The goal was to see how far the subjects were willing to push past their own morals because someone in a position of power instructed them to. MILGRAM, the anime YouTube series, in contrast, is all about exploring this idea of authority and the power it has over others. This story is not just a fictional tale, but an experiment of sorts on us, the viewers, because this series is sort of a choose-your-own-adventure.
I love that they're acknowledging this, especially with the fourth wall break, that the viewers are canonically part of the experiment. So it's even more like showing that the writers were intentionally making this a social experiment.
Or should I say, a real-life jury for a fictional story. Before we get started, content warning, this show is focused around the ethics and morality when it comes to different types of murder, death, and suicide. Briefly, we will also be discussing abortion. If these are topics that make you uncomfortable, I suggest watching another video.
I appreciate this content warning so much.
About a lighthearted comedy anime instead? In the description below? Who said that?
I love
MILGRAM
her
is an
energy.
interactive web show. We, the audience, have a role in how the story plays out. The audience takes up the role of S, a genderless prison guard who wakes up one day with no prior memory. S is greeted by our guide, named Jackalope.
Accurate name!
who claims their job is to monitor the 10 prisoners that are being held in MILGRAM prison
I just prefer to call him a fuck-ass rabbit.
and decide whether or not they're innocent or guilty. As I said, we the audience are actually playing as S, so deciding these verdicts is in our hands using a voting system on MILGRAM's website.
Which is even more funny for people that don't know the context. MILGRAM started on the same day as I made my YouTube channel. I'm a genderless person, and my legal name starts with the letters ES. Like, obviously, you know me as Ezzy, but that's a nickname for a name that starts with ES. And S has been a nickname that people have called me too. So I feel oddly connected to this storyline, despite only having heard of it a few months ago.
We also have a sort of indirect power over the way S behaves
So it's a
as well.
really
S
interesting
has their own thoughts and
self-insert here.
actions, like when they
Oh, funnily enough, that's why my camera is always on the side of S, often blocking their face. Because I'm really working into the self-insert part.
hit prisoners or state their thoughts and feelings. Like, we didn't tell S to do that, but sometimes these actions are based on the audience's feelings. So S hits a prisoner, it's most likely because the audience saw aggression or dislike towards that character, and the creators wrote that in.
Oh, and in the latest voice drama, they also acknowledged that S's decisions on whether someone is guilty or not aren't fully their own. That it's influenced by a different power, a different entity that we are now canonically figuring out is like the hive mind of the audience pushing their verdict into the story. So that's so cool, actually. That the theory or like the fourth wall break explanation is actually canon. Even your hair color is similar, right? I should do a cosplay at some point, right? Or get some art of me done. Because it's insane how similar it is. Like, the only thing that's not similar is the fact that S is 15, I'm 25, and my eyes are brown, and S's eyes are like bluish gray.
Sites like Reddit,
Insane,
Twitter,
right?
or just the comments of the YouTube videos, the creators of MILGRAM are able to see what the people are thinking about when it comes to certain topics and incorporate that into the dialogue S uses throughout the series. So S is kind of becoming us. It's honestly really cool to see the viewers have so much control over a story like this. But like I said, this is also kind of an experiment. So much so that we're experiencing all this stuff through S, so oftentimes the audience will say we when referring to something S does, as if we're really in this experiment with them. So
It
when
feels
S
like
hits
that,
that prisoner, the audience
really.
may go, why did we hit them? So the goal is to determine if they're innocent or guilty. How do we figure this out? All the information
I don't like the assumption of S being a self-insert when they have been especially now confirmed to be their own character, but it's clearly intentional to create that plot twist, so I can't even be mad. You might be S through their... You might be S though through there's so many similarities. Yeah, no, that would just... It just lined up a bit too well for not to recognize that, right? It's kind of scary. An ass cosplay. I've never done a cosplay, but it's because of like the joke around it, I might actually like consider it, right? Give me to, I don't know, how many subscribers is reasonable? I don't even have the money to pay for it. Just like a subscriber, maybe I'll do it. Yeah.
that we're told at the start of the story is that each prisoner has committed an act of murder. That's it. We don't get to know who they killed, why, or even how many people. We just know they're deemed murderers. In order to uncover the truth, we're given 3 different means to learn about the prisoners. As far as I know, these are the only 3 means that are accessible for English speakers. All their content is in Japanese, so any piece of media that they don't translate to English is done by fans. So the additional information we do have is courtesy of the community, which is pretty cool.
Which is even cooler because the community is canonically part of the story, and the story is being influenced by how the community is reacting to the story. So the community playing a big part in making the content accessible just fits the whole thing.
That being said, here are 3 main ways I have been able to follow the lore of this story as an English speaker. The first is Twitter posts that are made where prisoners can be asked a series of questions from the audience,
I love
and they
these.
answer as vaguely as the writers can muster. The second way is voice dramas, which are just audio clips of the prisoners talking to S and being essentially interrogated. But these can sometimes not reveal much.
Saying they are clips when they're often like 15 to 20 minutes long is insane, by the way. That's not a clip.
Much other than how they're feeling about their situation. The real way we're able to uncover the story is through music videos!
I love this
apparently
channel.
MILGRAM has some sort of machine that can extract the prisoner's thoughts in the form of songs and videos. So basically, to figure out each person's crime, we have to watch a music video and pick it apart for clues to figure out what their murder was and why they did it. What's cool about the storytelling is that we don't get any other ways to see what happens to the prisoners. All we get are those Twitter posts, a 10-ish minute audio clip of them talking to S, and then the actual music video itself. Anything else that happens is told to us from Jackalope later on.
I love that way of storytelling though, because it really keeps everything a bit suspended and you just have to work on context clues. For something that relies so much about media literacy to piece together the story, a lot of viewers and fans of this project are just missing the entire point.
We never get to visually see what prison life is like for them or how they interact with one another. It's all just word of mouth at that point. There are 3 trials the prisoners will go through. For each trial, MILGRAM will extract one music video, and once that music video is released, the audience will have a period of time where they can vote if they think the person is innocent or guilty based on the video. I will say these music videos are spaced out like months apart, so the voting lasts a while. And by the time you get to the last prisoner, most of the others have already been judged and the voting's been closed for them. When all prisoners have been voted on, the trial ends, their punishment is given based on who's guilty, and a new trial begins with new music videos so we can get more information about them. This can help the audience decide if we still think they're guilty after given new information. I was originally going to dive into the story based on everything we've seen, but I've decided to be more vague to encourage you to check it out for yourself. If you like psychology, social experiments, true crime, angsty anime, or even just
even
good
though
music,
they're acknowledging that there's
you.
spoilers in this,
Keep in mind, I will be giving brief spoilers such as who was voted guilty or innocent, as well as revealing what crimes some of the characters committed. In some cases, they're obvious from a single watch of the music video, but some involve analyzing and looking at symbolism.
I love this character so much because it's voiced by Natsuki Hinai and he's one of my favorite voice actors ever. Yes, the person that voiced both Kaneki Ken from Tokyo Ghoul and Tanjiro from Demon Slayer voices in this. And he sings. It's awesome. It's metal.
At the time of recording this, the 3rd trial has just begun, with the first music video already out. So if you're watching my video around the time of its upload, then there's still plenty of time to get into this show and vote on who you think is innocent or guilty. Each music video has several months between them, like I said, so these will upload pretty slowly. If you want to experience the story for yourself, feel free to click out of here and do so now.
No, we're going full spoilers.
Alright, if you're still here, let's get into this. Here are our 10 prisoners whose fate is in our hands. We have Haruka, Yuno, Futa, Mu, Shido, Mahiru, Kazui, Amane.
That's a child!
Bruh.
Mikoto,
I love the
and
memes.
Kotoko. Each trial's outcome affects what happens to each prisoner. When a prisoner is deemed innocent, Jackalope tells us their ideas are affirmed, which, as far as I know, it just means they get a self-esteem boost.
Okay, I want to add on that. In the videos and the voice dramas, they have added that with that, like, their thoughts being affirmed is literally like voices in their head kind of telling them like, oh my god, you didn't do a bad thing. You were totally right in what you did. Stuff like that. Which we now know is canonically the opinions of the viewers being like seeping through reality into their brain. Which is already a theory before. But now it's kind of being acknowledged. Which is so cool.
They're led to believe that their murder is justified, but for some prisoners who feel guilty about what they've already done, it confuses them because they don't understand why we think they're justified when they don't. When a prisoner is deemed guilty, they are restricted.
It's getting really stormy outside, so if you're hearing anything, that's why.
I'm not sure if they're given different treatment like food or ability to roam the prison, since those are things we don't get to actually see. We're only told about it later.
Yeah, okay, so they do have restrictions in some way. We have seen people getting physical restrictions, like a straitjacket, and even like those things that dogs get if they're like really bitey. Like a mouth cage. I don't know what it's called, but you get what I mean. So there is like limitation in what they get to do. But how far that limitation goes beyond the obvious physical restraints, we're not really being told, even after the fact.
But we do see them physically restrained.
Yeah, like this.
So we understand as the audience that our decisions will have consequences. But in the first trial, it's not really clear how major these consequences are going to be. These decisions also affect what their songs will look like in the next trial. In the first trial, all songs are basically about their murders, or how they feel about it, or how their thought process works. In the second trial, the songs are literally just about how they don't understand why we chose them to be innocent or guilty. From an outside perspective, this seems like a simple game where the audience can choose the outcome of a story. But it's more than that. I believe it's a social experiment on
so much
us,
more than that
people.
so quickly.
Remember, this is called MILGRAM, named after a real-life social psychologist. There's a meaning behind the name. In the greater scheme of things, MILGRAM is a dive into how far we as the audience will go when it comes to morality. It's an insight as to what the general populace finds acceptable or not. Looking at some of the outcomes of the first trial is a good example of that. I will start with a divisive character, Yuno.
Okay, I want to add on this. There's also a lot of people that are extra cruel in how they vote, just because they want to see what it will do to the character, because it's fiction anyway. But most people are like voting in earnesty, like what they actually believe to be the moral choice, right? But because a lot of people just like drama, like, oh my god, this person, if we vote them guilty, even though they're absolutely not, that will just be so funny to see. So there's definitely something going on there as well, which is slightly different from what they explained as the original trial done by that scientist called MILGRAM, where you had people administer electroshocks, but not really. There's just a person pretending to get shocked, just to see how far they would go. Which, like, in that case, the person thought that actual physical harm was being done to a person, even though that was not the case, right? But in this case, people believe that there's no physical harm being done. And while I don't expect like a plot twist of like, oh my god, there's people actually being murdered tied to this, like, duh, there's not. To see people choose based on the fact that nobody is actually getting hurt just in the story, honestly, it makes it more interesting, because in most cases that will only allow people to be more honest in how they feel, because they're like, oh, but this is just a story, so it doesn't matter because it's not real people. If you're like, yeah, but they're not real people. If you're being bigoted or racist or homophobic to a fictional character, even if it's not an actual person being affected, you're still affecting your friends and your followers and everything that do fit that mold of that fictional character. So if you're gonna go all out on Yuno for losing her baby, whether on purpose or not, you might not be hurting her character, but you're still hurting the people in your life and people that follow you that have lost a baby, whether on purpose or not, that have gotten pregnant against their will and had to choose for an abortion to not sacrifice the rest of their lives, right? And I think that makes this experiment a lot more interesting in that regard, because people are a lot more honest because they don't think someone is actually getting hurt. Well, even though there's nobody physically dying or being restrained in a fictional prison, people are still getting hurt.
Through her music video, we're able to discover that her crime was that she became pregnant through compensated dating, and she ended up getting an abortion.
Compensated dating is just a fancy way of sugar daddy-ing.
This is definitely a difficult topic for Milgram to cover, and it's one that sparked a lot of conversation. Abortion is a moral dilemma for some people, as some consider it to be a form of murder. But then lies the question, is it worth getting locked up for? Some people voted yes, some people voted no. The voting was in her favor in the end, and it altered the second trial a lot, not just based on the votes, but what people were discussing. People were quick to theorize, saying things like she must have had a reason, or pitying her for what she went through. When the second trial starts, Yuno explains that she can hear voices in her head telling her things about her trial.
That's what I explained earlier.
Many of the other prisoners point out that they have the same problem. And based on what these voices say, it's clear that they're supposed to be the audience discussions that are being had out in our world. Yuno explains how she heard these voices pitying her, and she explains how she hates being put into a box like that. She hates that sort of preachy mentality. She explains that she did what she did because she wanted to. I love her so much. She wasn't forced into compensated dating, and she wasn't forced to have the abortion afterwards.
I really love Yuno, even though she has a lot of problems and she definitely should get help, and I really feel bad for her. I love her because she is so honest. She's like, I chose this. Why are you feeling bad for me? Like, I went into this. I knew it could have been risky. I still did it anyway. Nobody forced me. Nobody, like, I didn't have a specific reason to other than that I wanted to do that. And I love that because that's what a lot of people in the world just don't understand. There's a lot of things that people just do because they want to, not because they have to, not because they were forced to, not because they had to, like, do it to get the money because they couldn't get a job otherwise. Which is really interesting. Yeah, Yuno's trial caused so much noise. Her song preview on her T3 literally caused an uproar that made the writer himself comment on about Yuno and his writing in regards to her. Jeez. I think Yuno's story made me far more sympathetic for people that have to go through what she did. I didn't really understand how it was like. So having a glimpse with MILGRAM helped me helped me at least picture it a bit more. That's also what I really love about MILGRAM, is that it creates real life possible scenarios. Those things that we don't really think about it aside from like the outside looking in. The same with like Futa's thing. A lot of people don't really think too much about someone that's on the internet and chasing drama and everything. Often people have a reason, and often they don't really believe what they're doing or what they're saying. They just want the attention without really realizing what the effects to the people they are harassing, cyberbullying, and putting a target on. And also not realizing that a lot of people that follow them do believe the things that they're preaching. But also a lot of people just on the outside looking in don't really see that the people at the top don't really believe what they're preaching. I explained this early in the stream, but obviously the people watching this could be watching a clip of this. If you look at right-wing grifter YouTubers, or like celebrities that suddenly become right-wing grifters, even if they had a history of being progressive, whether loudly progressive or like just slightly or quietly so, is because a lot of them are using it just to get the attention and getting eyes back on them. They don't really believe that what they're saying, or at least not the full extent of what they're preaching. Not really realizing or caring about the actual real world harm it's doing. Or the fact that there's people that either already believe that and you're just in an echo chamber or creating the echo chamber for them. Or they start to believe because you're preaching it. And like, take Asmongold for example. Asmongold was always weirdly progressive in a very gamery someone that lives in his mom's attic kind of way, right? I love to watch his videos, especially when I didn't agree with him, because he often challenged my opinion and made me rethink things that I thought were normal, and realized that sometimes in my progressive thinking, I overcorrected too far in one direction, and he challenged me to come back to the middle and realize that things are a gray area. Well, I won't go into specifics because there's so many examples of that. Going back to the middle doesn't mean that I'm less progressive. It means that there's two sides to things, and that the whole political spectrum of progressive and conservative is just meant to divide us, even though there are shades of gray and everything, which funnily fits with MILGRAM because it shows that there are shades of gray with everything. This is just an insight, but there's a circulation going on about how we started with Yuno didn't do anything wrong, Futa comically evil. It saddens me that people are reducing these two as literally the innocent and guilty label, then reduct their stories because it's not as bad or didn't expect to be that bad. Fans said that Imka was misogynistic for his writing of Yuno, and then with Futa they said that he was turned purely evil. Yeah, because problem is with a lot of people on the internet, they lack media literacy and they also lack constructive thinking. So they just take something and overcorrect completely or dive into it completely. Like when Yuno first got demonized completely, and suddenly people realized, oh wait, there's probably a reason, and they flipped 180, even though she is not innocent. She did things that she could have done something against. Like there's probably, because she wasn't like taken advantage of, she did everything with consent. She could have done a better job at not getting pregnant. Then she didn't have to do that, right? Even though I'm pro-abortion and pro-choice, I also feel like you should take some responsibility for what you're doing with your body. And like, everyone should have the ability to end pregnancy that they don't want, or that wouldn't be good for them, or that wouldn't create a good life for said child. I also feel like people have the responsibility of making sure they don't get unnecessarily pregnant. And if you do like bare minimum, right, that is already a lot more than people are just not using protection and think, oh, I'll just get an abortion like it's a morning after pill. Because it's a bit more complicated and heavy than just that. Yeah, and Yuna had a miscarriage, but that wasn't clear until she herself did that. Everything pointed at her having an abortion, and people went off about that. So whether or not it's a miscarriage, and there are certain places on Earth where a miscarriage is still considered murder, just like an abortion, even if it's just like they wanted to have the baby and their body just didn't comply, right? Even the most healthy person, even a person that had like 10 kids, no problem, suddenly can get a miscarriage. But that's like the whole thing. I think they intentionally made us think that she had an abortion, because that's a lot more inflammatory. And even though it turned out to be a miscarriage, a lot of people still didn't switch around or kept the same opinion. And a lot of opinion swapping on, you know, wasn't because of like the context of her losing her child. It was that everything around it. Yeah, being more critical and open-minded is not equated into being a political belief. That's what happened with Yuna and the whole pro-life versus pro-choice. A critique of her actions is equated into not respecting her choices, which is a scary generalization. It's like a miscarriage, but the fact that Yuna didn't really remember and just assumed she went through with the abortion is like telling. If she had... Hold on. It's like a miscarriage, but the fact that Yuna didn't really remember and just assumed she went through with the abortion is like telling. If she had the choice, that's what she would still choose anyway. It's just that she did not get the chance to because of her suicide attempt. Yeah, that's also like a different part. Because of her suicide attempt, she temporarily lost memories, and she woke up in the hospital and her baby was gone. So her assumption was that she just lost memories of doing the abortion. So, and that she was okay with that, and that she was kind of already thinking about that. So it's still, like, even if technically that didn't happen, if the baby survived, she probably still would have done it. And yes, I'm seeing the ad. Let me move to the big screen. Something like that. And after we're done with this video, I do have to head off because I need to call the car shop. See, I didn't accidentally get called on my phone on silent. No. I don't like calling, but I will have to. This reaction is gonna be really interesting to edit. I don't know what channel I'm gonna put it on yet. It might be on main even, because we're talking about really cool stuff. So, chat, how are you doing today? I'm always so awkward in this. Yay, we back? Not everyone is back yet. MILGRAM brings out some really interesting discussions. Oh yeah, and I'm low-key kind of scared to edit down all of my reactions into like one or several longer videos, because we talked about a lot of topics. And in VODs, like, stuff got buried a little bit. So people might not like take that one thing out of context, but if it's an edited down thing and it's a lot more obvious everything I said, I worry a little bit that people are gonna take it out of context, right? That's the problem with how I stand in life. I'm not far enough to either side for people to be happy, but I'm often, like, obviously more on the progressive side than anything, but yeah. It's tiring sometimes, and the life of a content creator is troublesome sometimes. Yay! The ad break is over. Yeah, it can be rough. It's a struggle, because recently there was a problem where I'm not going into too much detail because it might bring others into trouble that are currently still navigating. A streamer friend of my streamer friends got outed as something really bad. Like criminal bad, like did time for that bad, right? And they obviously had to deal with it because it was their direct friend and they had a lot of like content together and they were really associated with that. But I have been on their stream once, so I did feel like I had to take some responsibility in that. I mean, like, hey, I did not know, and I condemned the people that did know and didn't say anything for an extended period of time. Like, there were people that knew for a few weeks / a few months and were kind of still self-navigating, which I can totally get. But there were people that knew for much longer or purposely didn't say anything because they didn't want to, like, attract the drama, right? Which I find deplorable. But obviously, because my friends themselves either had made a really conscious decision to not address it, unless more information got out of self-preservation, which is also fairly understandable and, like, should be respected, or we're still kind of figuring out what they should say. I wasn't gonna connect the dots before they could do that because I was less involved. But because in the era of content creation, even for the slightest interactions, you can get cancelled for interacting or knowing something of a person and not making it public or addressing it and stuff. Like, there's literally people that got outed for being an abuser, and then someone that interacted with them once on Twitter or happened to be following them, not knowing the context, like, is never on Twitter to begin with to even see the drama happening around them, get cancelled because of association and not saying anything. And that's so hard. Even though I had all of the evidence regarding that, what the accusation was being true, right? Because there was actual evidence of that person doing time for said thing. Public information, by the way. That was not the problem. It's just that you can't always talk about something. And that's really hard. But I've told my friends, if it comes up and people start directly asking, I will not lie. I will just not bring attention to it, because I feel like that's the best thing to do right now, because it's not a big story like sometimes happens, right? Because it's not a big content creator. But I will not lie. And they were like, that's fair enough. And to be fair, nobody asked me to stay silent. Nobody asked me. It was just like a conscious decision that I made, because I think it will do more harm than good if I decide to randomly address something. I was on their stream a long time ago. There's no archive of it anymore, because it never got posted to YouTube. Other similar streams got posted, but mine didn't. And my friends were already having a tough time, as what it is. Like, it's crazy to complain about solving things privately and personally talk, yet complain about not publicly denouncing, speaking up about it. Yeah, it's good to not jump to conclusions without full context, but people just jump down your back if you just don't say anything immediately. And I think my stance on it would have also been a lot different if that person just didn't deactivate every social media, right? So there's still a chance that that person is gonna come back under a pseudonym. If they do, and I figure that out, I will say something. But right now, there's not an immediate danger for the community. And, like, said conviction was also X amount of time ago, right? It was not, like, recent. So, like, I don't know what to do. But I do want to be honest. So, so no, every time something happens and I'm either not saying anything, there's a good chance I know about it and I'm trying to deal with it behind the scenes. That has happened multiple times. And if I can, I will start talking about it. Like, for example, my first video that got a lot of traction was me talking about a Clipper drama from Jonathan the Fast Clipper that I was involved in, that I was in, how do you call it? A victim of. Like, I was a victim of harassment, my content being posted without consent, and like a whole bunch of things. But my friends were worse off. And I tried to like talk about it as much as I could, but the whole thing went behind the scenes because we were also talking to like moderators and bigger streamers that were affected, that had a lot of more pull with, for example, YouTube, and were affected in a larger amount. So us keeping quiet was kind of an important part of it. But then that person got terminated from YouTube a year later, out of the blue. And that's when I felt like, oh, I can tell you about the details of what went behind the scenes, because there's nothing that's still hanging from that thread that is dependent on this story staying on the down low. So when I can, I will always do that. So if there's ever anything that is a problem, or I am involved in either directly or indirectly, or I have interacted with that person, or you perceive me to be friends or something related to that, message me. Because either I'm not aware, I'm already trying to fix it, and I will address what I can, but sometimes I am not a perfect person. Sometimes I just don't know, right? Just let me know. I will always weigh the options and do what is best for me and the people involved and my community without creating more harm or creating more publicity to whatever's happening that already caused harm. And I know I'm being fake, but I just wanted to say that. I want to be honest about that, and especially in the context of what we're already been talking about. Like, that's like something I weigh against each other all the time. And I really value doing that, especially with how VTubers are treating each other, just throwing everything in the open and not even attempting to send a DM, right? Like, that's why my email address is everywhere. If for some reason you cannot DM me, you can still email me. There's some way to contact me. My DMs on Discord are open. Do I appreciate random DMs about nothing? Not necessarily, but I'm reachable if that's necessary, right? Like, don't DM me and ask about stuff that I cannot talk about. I have had people try to get information on clients I work for, which is not great. Or just trying to be my friend without really introducing themselves. I'm busy enough as it is. I don't really have the time or mental space to do that. But like, if there's something and you need me, or there's like an important question and you need me for that, I'm available. And that's why I make sure that I am available in some way or the other. Because I want people to approach me if there's something going on. Yeah, you don't want to be Futa and start stuff without a good reason. Exactly. Anyway, we need to finish this video. Because the car shop closed at 5 and I need to call before that. Let me scroll back a little bit.
She was a preachy mentality. She explains that she did what she did because she wanted to. She wasn't forced into compensated dating, and she wasn't forced to have the abortion afterwards. Yuno explains how morals are difficult, how people feel as though they have to police what is right and wrong. They have to make up their own reasons to justify things that don't concern them. Because she's prisoner number 2, this discussion with Yuno happens right after we see the results from the previous trial. This is one of our first introductions to seeing what result our assumptions and choices have created. And she's telling us we're wrong. We're misguided. It raises the question of whether or not we can make decisions like this based on such little evidence.
It's also interesting because she is prisoner 2. So she is the first like voice drama and like a live person that we talked to after the results of trial 2. But it's like leaving out the fact that a prisoner killed themselves after the events of trial 2. Not necessarily the results, even though it says the results, but that person was starving themselves as a way to like off themselves, right? And that doesn't happen overnight. So they clearly were already doing that before the results were in, right? So that shows how bad the whole system was already affecting their mental.
Because in Yuno's case, her music video did not give a lot of evidence to begin with. It was all just mostly symbolism. But that's just
most
Yuno.
trial 1
There are still 9 other
that.
prisoners with far different cases. Let's look at what else could be justified as murder or not. Prisoner number 7, Kazui. His music video reveals that he may have driven his wife to suicide, though the details about it are fuzzy. Did he have an affair? Was he just looking to get divorced? Either way, the audience deemed this as justifiable and gave him an innocent verdict. Okay, so driving someone to suicide is not considered murder. Good to know. So now let's look.
I also have to add the additional context that in trial 2, we learned that Kazui is gay and kind of used his wife as like a shield. He knew he was gay, but he was trying to hide it so badly, he still married a woman. And by revealing the fact, eventually, he shattered her entire reality. And if things were already not great and like her last grasp for reality and like life can be good was her happy marriage with her husband that turned out to not even love her in that way, that's like, that sucks. And is it necessarily his fault? Yes and no. Because even if you do that, like lying like that is really, really messed up. But does it make it his fault that she offed herself? Not really. Telling someone after how many years, like, I actually never loved you in the first place is so brutal. I don't even think it's that. It's like, I never loved you the way you want me to. Like, I think even if he didn't love her romantically, if you've been with someone, you can love them in different ways. Like, gay people can love women, just not romantically or sexually, right? It's a direct consequence, I suppose. Yes, an indirect consequence.
At prisoner number 3, Futa. His music video reveals him to be a sort of internet social justice warrior with his friends. When they see people doing problematic behaviors, they expose them on social media and essentially bully them into shame. Futa's victim is revealed to be a middle school girl who also committed suicide because of Futa's online bullying. So even though this trial happened first, we could imagine the audience would deem Futa as innocent, since that's what was decided for Kazui, right? Wrong. He was deemed guilty. What happened? Their murders were both focused around someone killing themselves because of their actions. Why is one outcome different than the other? Is it because of who died? Futa's being a middle school girl, maybe? Is it because we don't know the circumstances of Kazui's wife's suicide? Part of me believes it's because of the two men's personalities.
I think, yeah, and context matters a lot. Like, Futa was really out to hurt people on purpose, and that eventually ended in someone taking their own life. Kazui didn't intend to hurt someone. He just eventually decided to be honest. And that hurt someone. Like, he didn't want to hurt her. Well, Futa did want to hurt people, not necessarily driving them into an early grave, but he was hurting people. And even though the outcome is the same, it's different context, different intentions, and like the intention of whether they wanted harm done or not. You can still blame Kazui for lying about that and trapping her in a marriage that he fabricated. But I don't think he intended to hurt her. He wants to protect himself in a really bad way. But to the point that you also can think, like, how much can you blame him? Because if you, as a gay man, stay single for long enough, people are gonna ask questions, and depending on how the country looks at people that are non-straight, that can cause you trouble as well. So him marrying might have just been an act of desperation outside of his own, like, powers. He could still chosen differently and just endured that, but sometimes people are in desperate times are driven to desperate things. It's still bad, but that's like the whole thing with MILGRAM. Everything is a gray area. I like this comparison, although the context makes these situations very different. One is doxing and cyberbullying, and one is fake, likely one-sided relationship of sorts. I think that's a little bit too... I think that's reducing what Kazui did, because it's not a fake one-sided relationship. It's like tricking someone into thinking it's a two-sided relationship, even though you know the truth and you're still kind of using them and lying to them. But it's the whole intention behind it. Yeah, but even that's the problem with MILGRAM. You cannot really summarize it.
Futa is very aggressive, going as far as to achieve it's because of the two men's personalities. Futa is very aggressive, going as far as to attack S when they meet in person. He also denies doing anything wrong and is very difficult to work with. Kazui, on the other hand, has a calm demeanor and shows obvious guilt for what happened. Their songs even reflect their mentalities. Futa's song in his music video is intense. He even screams some of his lines.
Life is not
Kazui's
show,
song is a bad...
Life is not our show, but scoop. Oh my god, these memes are taking me out. This is a very serious topic. Oh my god.
Whereas Kazui's song is a ballad, it's sorrowful and slow. I believe their personalities and willingness to cooperate with us influenced how we view their crime, which is super...
Okay, but Kazui is also twice Futa's age, so he definitely has some maturity there. But I do see the comparison. Like, even if they were the same age, you can definitely have a Kazui teenager. Wouldn't be exactly the same, but it would be similar enough for the comparison to still hold up.
Interesting to see. Someone who is more aggressive is less likely to be shown mercy. So if Futa's crime deems him guilty, what about people who have directly killed someone? Let's look at prisoner number 4, Mu. In her music video, we see that she was being bullied, and as a result, she snaps and kills one of the bullies. Not even in self-defense, mind you. She ran up to her and attacked first. If Futa was considered guilty for indirectly killing someone, then us seeing her in the act would definitely deem her guilty, right?
The crazy thing about Mu's case is, even with the context of like she was being bullied and it directly killed someone, that's not even full context. Like, I would say she is guilty even if there are so ways to justify what she did. But then when you learn that she originally was the bully, people caught on her nonsense, like this girl specifically, and everyone turned against her, and she experienced that as bullying. That makes it like worse. Like, it was already hard to justify, and then suddenly it's like, no, you're just a bad person.
Wrong again. She was voted innocent because of the reasoning behind it. The audience was able to sympathize with her and felt bad for why she was driven to kill. What makes this whole trial interesting is that we're given very little to go off of. A 3-minute music video that sometimes isn't clear at all about what happened doesn't help.
The trial
much.
1 music video
That's what Yuno was trying to tell us at
hard.
the start of the second trial I mentioned earlier. She's upset at the audience for making assumptions regarding her life based on little evidence. Prisoner number 6, Mahiru, is an even better example of someone who was accused with little evidence. Her music video was super vague, just being a handful of images of her in different outfits, and some lyrics that seemed a little too obsessive about love, and that was all people needed to decide that she was guilty. At one point, I guess she does pounce on a pillow and feathers go flying, but what is that supposed to tell us? Everyone assumed she was a stalker, but there was little evidence to support this idea, which is why, in the second trial, she straight up tells us our theories were incorrect. We decided her fate based off of a feeling, which is crazy to think about.
And that's also, like, I don't want to say it, but the word starts with an M and rhymes with... I blank, but you get what I mean.
This happens in real-life trials now. Sometimes a jury is not given much evidence and is expected to make decisions based off of that without considering how the outcomes will affect the perpetrator. This is where ethics and morality come into play. What do we define as justifiable? What if we were given more information, like the second trial where she refuses that she's a stalker? But she did kill someone because of her obsession with love and her overly erratic behavior.
For context, from what I gathered out of her videos and like her story, is that she had a boyfriend and it was like mutual. It wasn't like her keeping someone hostage, but her love was so smothering that it resulted in that guy dying. And whether it was like dying in poverty or dying from delusions or whatever, I don't know the details specifically because I haven't looked into it beyond that, but it looked like her smothering love was a direct like cause of his death. She was so obsessed with treating her boyfriend, keeping him in her life, and like showing her love that she already had an unhealthy obsession with. Like, she literally smothered him. Which is insane, but it happens. But it also is this clear sign of she needs professional help, like everyone else in this storyline.
Does that change our verdict? And the bigger question, what if we know what life will be like for the accused based on our votes afterwards? When the first trial's over, S reviews how each prisoner was deemed and then falls asleep. A large span of time passes and S wakes up for the second trial. It's now a whole new season, written based off of the outcomes of how we voted earlier. This is something I find super cool. The story is being written only after we discuss what we think. The creators of the MILGRAM project take what we already have and create a whole nother trial based off of that.
I really love that it wasn't pre-written, that they had like pre-written outcomes of like choose your own adventure, and that the time in between was just to animate the music videos, right? Because they did everything in real time. No, they actually took what everyone said and like even how close the votes were into account to how the dialogues of the voice dramas are written. And there's so much detail in it that it really becomes immersive. Even if you weren't part of the whole voting process, like I was, like I just binged trial 1 and 2 in one go. And only really started keeping up with everything as trial 3 started airing. It's just really immersive and it feels less rigid and more realistic. And with the revelation, of course, that the audience is canonically part of the story, and that canonically in the story, our feelings and opinions and our votes are direct influence on the story. It adds to the experience, but also it shows that that was like the intention from the start. But we just didn't know. It's just really cool. There's a really messed up term in Japan for people like Mahiru, and I think it's landmine women. Which is like someone who seems normal, but once you get to know them, it's like a landmine, which honestly, it's so awful that they have a whole term for this. So Mahiru being here like connects to that stigma. There's so many stigmas that are really connected to Japanese culture and social norms. But I also hate, like, technically that term is not wrong, but it puts the blame fully on the woman. Even though stuff like that often is a consequence of the surroundings, like nature versus nurture. Like, obviously, there are people that are just born insane, but there's also people that had a really rough childhood, and keeping on the idea of that love is like this really important thing in life keeps them sane, literally. But that often results in them overcorrecting the wrong way. But you also see this in a less extreme or like a more public version with fangirls. Think about fangirls for like back in the day for Justin Bieber, where people would like run around naked or try to like storm the fences of like a meet and greet and try to like hug him. Or some fans even go far enough to be like, if I can have you, no one can, and like try to kill the star. It's similar, in a way. It's just directed at something they can have or cannot have. That's also how you create stalkers. And it's also like, it shows that when you have like a guy who is a stalker, or you have a woman who is like this, it's put in completely different light. And often still, when the stalker is deemed as like, this is a bad person, sometimes the woman being stalked is still blamed for being like, oh, you should have been more careful with what you post online. You should have not done that. You just provoked them. Like, oh, you've been doing this. Eventually someone would have come to your home, right? Or you made them believe that they had a chance of being your boyfriend. This is something that a lot of featurers are also doing, right? Well, you can also say, like, hey, if someone accidentally posts a picture where you can deduce where they live, don't go there. Right? Or, like, in another case, and I'm not going to say the word directly, but we all know the phrase, like, what was she wearing? How about if someone is walking around naked, you still don't have permission to touch them? Right? I feel like her love obsession is because her environment suppressed her so much that when she had her first taste of romance, it's overindulgent. It's like people and alcohol where you're told it's forbidden until a certain point, and then when you have it, you overindulge. That's also a really good one. Maru was super sheltered from the info we know her from. It was not just Amane sheltered. It wasn't Amane sheltered, but still really badly. That's also a really, really good point.
How many shows do something like that? Anyway, back on track. We were warned in the voice dramas from the first trial that our votes were going to affect things. A good example is prisoner number 10, Kotoko. She tells us if we vote her innocent, she'll act as our fangs and become someone who fights on our side.
Oh, and then we didn't know we would fall asleep.
People who hurt or kill the innocent.
So Kotoko, probably the video is gonna go on that as well, but Kotoko was voted innocent because of a promise that she made to S as like a teamwork thing. Like, oh, we're gonna work together to dismantle MILGRAM, right? And I think players kind of played into that. And I think the audience kind of played into that and was like, okay, yeah, this is a good idea and probably will be for the best. And it's also a really interesting story bit, right? To see what she would do. But we as the audience didn't know that S would fall asleep for months at a time until the next trial arrived. And I think if S was not asleep, Kotoko wasn't going to like hurt people as badly. It was just like, hey, you left. I made a promise, so I just did it the best that I thought I could. Which, like, insane for S to trust someone who is clearly not in their right mind. And for context, Kotoko is also a social justice warrior, like a vigilante, but she truly believes that she should punish people, so she doesn't do it for the attention. She does everything in secret, which is a complete opposite of why Futa has been, like, punishing people. Not to dismantle MILGRAM, Kotoko was fully on MILGRAM's side. Okay, context aside, if S was awake and actually able to still converse with Kotoko and steer her into a certain direction, I think the extreme things that happened because of her wouldn't have happened. But she was just a rogue agent that suddenly got her ideas affirmed, but also like, oh, someone needs me and approves of what I do, and then the whole thing of the system affirming her beliefs, right? It just spiraled out of control, and nobody was there to stop it. And we couldn't have foreseen that, but then we knew that characters would be left alone. So votes started to change to favor that more and more.
Now, we're not exactly sure what will happen, but the audience saw her music video of her killing a child predator and deemed her innocent. Because of this, just like she said, she became our fangs. So when S wakes up for the second trial to begin, we discover that Kotoko went on a rampage, attacking all the prisoners that were deemed guilty from the first trial. Now, when we talk to each prisoner who's been attacked, they're in a weakened state. They're disheveled, and their spirits are broken for the most part. And in one of their cases, this is a big spoiler, they end up dying because of it. We're forced to see first.
Yeah, one of the characters was a doctor, and they helped the characters that got hurt in Kotoka's attack. But that doctor ended up dying, so there was nobody to take care of the injuries, and they just succumbed to the injuries. Which is insane, right? So if the doctor lived, they probably would have survived. Kotoko was also promised to tell us stuff going on with the prisoners from her POV, but she didn't do that in T2 because Jackalope just told us everything that happened. Although, to be fair, I don't think Kotoko or anyone really knows Jackalope is the actual boss of MILGRAM. Fair enough.
And how our simple vote has changed everything entirely. I remember watching it and thinking, well, yeah, I thought Kotoko was innocent, but I didn't want all this to happen. That's the thing. Most of the time, other people's actions are out of our control. So when we're given an opportunity like this that will affect how the characters behave, we need to think heavily about it. For a lot of viewers, they probably didn't. They didn't factor the outcomes at all. Maybe they only cared about whether the crime was justifiable. Maybe they just liked a character's personality and voted them innocent.
It also, like, from a POV of someone that didn't know what would happen going in, I thought the 3 trial system was just like, you would have 3 different pieces of evidence, like 3 music videos, and you would base a judgment. And you would cast a judgment based on that. And then after 3 individual looks at their crime, what they did, their POV, you would basically have a 2 out of 3 kind of thing. Like best of 3 kind of. You would basically have best out of 3 kind of thing. Like, oh, if I deemed someone guilty 2 out of 3 times, that would mean they're guilty. But if I only did it 1 out of 3 times, they're innocent. But that was not the case because every individual verdict between trials influenced the next trial. But if you don't know that, and you weren't like really told that that was like a thing, then you choose differently.
Regardless, there are probably a lot of people who made their votes like that without thinking of the outcomes, which were just as important in this story. Voting Kodako innocent didn't just affect her, it affected many of the other prisoners as well. In a real trial, when people act as a jury, we often don't get to see the effects that our choices create. But MILGRAM shows you point blank. It makes the audience question everything, that these choices that they made in the first trial that seemed so simple will actually impact everything and will even result in characters dying. Another example of a prisoner dying, this is also heavy spoilers, but Haruka, prisoner number 1. He becomes very attached to Mu and says that in the next trial, if we don't find her innocent, he will kill himself. Now the audience has learned that when the characters of MILGRAM say something, it shouldn't be taken lightly. Every choice is supposed to be thought out. This time, the audience...
Oh, yeah, and Mu blamed S for being like, I thought he would stop him. I didn't think he would do it, but I'm not responsible because I thought someone would have stopped him or it wouldn't be allowed to happen. Which also, like, speaks to her character, obviously. But also, like, they think that you can't really die in MILGRAM. You can get hurt. But aside from that, actually in the timelines, Mu does feel guilty about Haruka. Yeah, but the person that made this video established that the way they consumed MILGRAM was through the voice dramas and the music videos mainly, and the questions on Twitter. I think timelines are not known well enough for most people. We tried to vote both Amane and Shido innocent, even though in hindsight we probably should have known that going well was impossible. There's so many obvious bad decisions in hindsight, but defend them at the time, pass it off as the writers wouldn't go that far. They'll just get hurt. Yup. And I think that was intentional, that they didn't set those boundaries as writers.
The audience does think about Mu. Every choice is supposed to be thought out. This time, the audience does think about Mu, the girl who had been bullied and killed in a moment of hysterical panic. Her music video for Trial 2 is all about how she doesn't feel guilt because we decided she was innocent. It's literally called It's Not My Fault. And we can see that she herself was one of those popular girls that brought others down too. There was no sign of that in the first music video, which also teaches the audience that a definitive decision can't be made with such little evidence, just like Yuno and Mahiru. Even if we know the reasons behind each murder, we don't know the background behind it all, and that can just as easily change perspective. So now we're looking at how the population thinks. We have a choice to make. Do we vote her innocent knowing it will spare Haruka's life? Do we vote her guilty because it's clear her murder was more than what meets the eye? Well, it turns out the need to prove someone guilty prevailed because people turned on Mu.
Yeah, turned is like... likely said. I think it was like the other way around completely for Trial 1.
Holy moly. They did not think she should be innocent. I'm not even sure what this says about the psychology of a majority when it comes to decision making, but it's interesting to see that people chose to convict her over sparing Haruka. Also, it's interesting.
I also think, like people in chat have said, that people just didn't think the writers would actually let that happen. Like that, like surely that wouldn't happen. Surely something else happens, right? Or surely putting Haruka as non-guilty again would change his mind. I mean, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't like off myself, right? Yamanaka said he was pretty sad and didn't expect that there would be so many deaths. Yeah, and then someone else in one of the streams said that we call best case scenario. Which is insane because I don't think that is like possible. Because surely, I can already see several routes where like everyone would have survived so far. But that doesn't account for alternative things happening because of certain choices.
Interesting to see how skewed the vote to convict her over sparing Haruka. Also, it's interesting to see how skewed the votes are in the second trial. In the first trial, prisoners 1 through 8 have a pretty indecisive vote outcome. They're all 40-50 splits.
Yep.
But now check out the difference for the votes in the second trial.
They're all very
70 and
extreme.
80% of people agree on a verdict. I'm not definitively sure what caused these outcomes either. Perhaps it's because more evidence has come out and prisoners are starting to show their true personalities. It could be a result of time and the fandom has more time to discuss how they feel. But I, for one, think it's mostly a result of the consequences of our votes.
I agree with that because I went through a whole lot of emotions going into this blind, even though all the votes had been cast. I had no influence on anything whatsoever. I was not part of the community discussing anything. The only people I was discussing with was chat, which was all over the place. So I went through it, and at first I didn't really know what to vote either because I was a bit hesitant, didn't know what was happening, and I was a lot more on the fence for stuff, especially because Trial 1 didn't really offer a lot of context. However, when Trial 2 arrived, like that was either in a same stream or the next stream, which is like several days and me not doing research in between, I saw the direct consequences of certain actions. And I saw that what people voted was in a red line, really similar to how I chose. Or at least I was like, if I didn't agree with the public choice, I was already on the fence for that character and had really good arguments for that decision, right? And then I saw the consequences. And even though I was not part of the votes, because I thought similarly as the public, I felt those consequences and took those with me when deciding for the next trial. So I think knowing the consequences makes people a lot more sure about things. Like, oh, this person did something that was bad, but they don't deserve XYZ thing that happened to people in Trial 1. Because that makes the choice a bit easier. Like, some people would be considered guilty, but on different scales. Like, oh my god, this person is just a flat-out murderer, and this person, like, I don't condone what they do, and technically they're guilty, but I'm gonna vote them not guilty because they don't deserve the consequences of me causing that verdict.
Once we saw that characters were getting attacked or going crazy as a result of our votes, the audience was more unanimous with their votes to prevent certain outcomes.
Like I said,
Kodako got a resounding guilty in the second trial, and I think that's because she went on a rampage and attacked other prisoners.
Like, a lot of people could get behind Kodaka because she killed, like, a child molester that was, like, kidnapping girls and got away with it because of the law. And eventually she killed him, even though most people she just beat up. So people kind of understood where she was coming from. And, like, the video showed, a lot of the votes were really close to 50-50, which is understandable. But then she goes and just attacks people willy-nilly despite not knowing anything about their story, but just going off the fact that S deemed them guilty. So like, oh, if you deem them guilty, they must be bad people. And she just went ham on them. Which showed that her intentions were not pure. She just was like, someone did something bad. I don't even need to know why. But I'm gonna punish them. Which showed her true colors in a way that if we had voted her guilty right away, wouldn't have shown, which might have resulted in a not guilty verdict in the next trial. And completely changing the story, because all of the deaths are a direct cause of her. Kodako's guilty verdict was even worse than Mu. It was actually insane. The fandom was wondering where the inner voters even went. But I also think that maybe this was something the writers did to guide our hands a little bit, because in story, Kodaka and S were like making an alliance, and it was like narratively a really interesting point to go into. So for us, like, even though I don't think she deserves to be not like cast non-guilty, it will be interesting to see what she does, and she does make some great points, and maybe she can be useful to us if we cheat the system, which immediately backfired really badly. And which is, I think, the only fault that we really changed something to go against the system for a secondary reason. Like, obviously, we have changed some of the verdicts slightly in the other direction, which was already on the fence because of known consequences and stuff. But this was, like, unrelated to what we thought about her actions. And I think it was, like, the audience was kind of, like, baited in doing that. Which I love as, like, a narrative storytelling style. Like, I like that. Because sometimes baiting someone, like, baiting an audience into a choice and, like, a choose your own adventure or, like, an ARG just makes everything a lot more interesting and really drives home to the audience that your choices have consequences.
I know I voted her guilty so that she would be restrained and prevent any more attacks from happening, even though I still think her murder was considered justifiable. I mean, the audience seemed to think so in the beginning. Her verdict was the biggest 180 between trials. Look at how much people turned on her just for attacking their faves.
It's almost exactly 180.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking about this before I just start explaining every little detail. I definitely left out a lot, so I encourage you to watch the series for yourself. The third trial has just begun, so now's the time to vote once the characters' music videos drop. If you're watching this after the series ended, I hope you're still able to enjoy the show and get a glimpse of how people think and vote based on a variety of factors, not just the actual murders themselves. This series is such a fascinating example of how far people are willing to draw the line to justify something, and how deciding opinions on others depends on more than just their actions. That makes it even more enjoyable if you can't be a part of the voting or discussions. In the description will be the MILGRAM website where you can vote and check out more about the story. There will also be a playlist I've been using to watch the music videos and voice dramas in order.
Oh,
so
this
please
might
check
be
it
the
out and
same
share any
playlist
thoughts
I've
you have in
been
the
using.
comments. Now, I was going to say thanks for watching and just end it there, but as I finished the script, Yuno's final music video and voice drama were posted, and she does a great job at summarizing it all really well. This translation was made by...
Oh, yeah, I absolutely love the way the music videos progress, because for every trial 1, everything was really vague and symbolic, and then in trial 2, we actually got more actual information that was a bit more to the point, but it was still, like, leaving big gaps. And then the third music video is basically, well, it's not hand-feeding you exactly, but it's a lot more direct and not really beating about around the bush, but it still uses, like, symbolism to tell a story, because it's still a music video and a song, right? They cannot tell you exactly what happened like in a musical, because it's not a musical. But it's so interesting from, like, if you love narratives, like, storytelling like this, fantastic. Like, that's something that's like a tidbit to enjoy.
By the Twitter user on the screen. She does a great job at summarizing it all really well. This translation was made by the Twitter user on the screen. Human judgment is inherently imperfect. I roughly know how you've judged other inmates, but when it comes to me, it's just a matter of like-dislike. Different positions lead to different opinions.
Starts with an M and rhymes with...
That's just how it is. To which S replies,
I'm gonna keep
"That's
making
true.
that joke.
No matter which prisoner it was, there's no such thing as a perfect answer."
I love that translation. It's so accurate. This is a really, really, really good video. Like, I don't even care. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, or you're watching the VOD, or, like... there's bloopers and outtakes. But yeah, I don't care if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this as a VOD, if you're watching this on Twitch live right now. I really recommend you to check out this person. I'm gonna subscribe to them, which I don't do a lot. They're called InvisiClown. She, her, hers. She has only 411 subscribers and 2 public videos, which is insane. These numbers are really good for a channel with only 2 videos. And especially with this amount of subscribers, they're a smaller channel than me, and I am impressed. Anyway, if you like this reaction and my discussion of everything, or you want to watch me react to more MILGRAM, there's a playlist in the comments. There's a playlist in the description to all of my MILGRAM VODs. I am in the process of making like a dedicated edited video that's a bit more condensed, because currently my stream totaled to over 24 hours of footage, which I understand is much. But you can check everything out. There's a playlist, and I hope you want to subscribe to me and see. Okay, that's a terrible outro. Okay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this reaction of mine, and if you want to see more of my MILGRAM reactions, there's a playlist to all of my VODs, and I'm busy on making like a condensed video that's not 24 hours in footage, because that's insane. And I hope you consider subscribing, because I love reacting to narrative and lore-driven stuff and talking about the philosophy behind it. I can promise you, if you like philosophy, my MILGRAM streams are full of it. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment. I'm being cringe. See you in the next video. Bye. Okay, that's a great outro. I'm glad I recorded that. I can vote Futa guilty again. Awesome. Oh yeah, we can vote. Don't worry. MILGRAM.com. Also, I missed my window to call the car shop anyway, so I'm gonna see MILGRAM voting. See if I can go vote. You're forgetting it's a daily thing. I forgot about that too. I thought it was just the one thing. How do I vote? Oh, that's good. So for people interested, it's milgram.jp. And it's a really beautiful website, not gonna lie. And then it shows this. Currently, the people that are, well, glitchy are the people that are dead. We can vote for Futa. Can we vote for Yuno still? Oh, we can still vote for Yuno. Okay, yeah, vote innocent. You can vote daily, by the way. Awesome. Oh. I think Yuno might be running out soon, because Futa is out. And I'm gonna vote... My problem is that I got more sympathy for him, but everything we learned during Trial 3 paints him to be an even bigger asshole than I thought he was, right? He's like a worse person, more egotistical, everything. Would putting him through more be fair? Okay, so I'm gonna vote him innocent, even though I think he's a bigger piece of shit than before. Mostly because I think voting him guilty again is gonna cause him more trouble. And because he's become more self-aware and like kind of keeping himself accountable, I think for him to learn his lesson, this is the better choice. Oh, they extended it? Ah, okay. So from my understanding, like, when a new trial comes out, there's always an overlap between two. It's like a trial comes out, it runs for, let's say, 3 months, and there's 2 months between videos releasing, which means that when the next one releases, it's like another month of them both, and then a month of only one, and then the next one comes out and there's an overlap again. You can check. Oh, you can check the current results. Oh shit! Look at that. So, it's just overwhelmingly innocent. I think it starts with an M and rhymes with. And just people that just are against abortion as a thing, even if she didn't actually commit one. She still wants to do that. That probably still pisses people off. But this being as 50-50 as it is probably because of a lot of people thinking very similar to me. And just making one choice. Like, I think even the people that voted him innocent, a lot of them still consider him guilty. But vote innocent because he doesn't deserve what voting guilty would result in. Oh, that is very interesting. Also, did he have, like, a new cover? Am I out? Like, I thought that was, like... let's see. Usually it's like, you get the voice drama, you get the song, and you get a cover. It's a rookie. Okay. Futa rookie cover. Let's see. There we go, 2 weeks ago. Hell yeah. Yeah, and someone put the music video on it. Awesome. Let me go watch that too, and then go end stream. Which is perfect because another ads wants to run. This is a Rookie Futa cover by DECO, which is originally sung by Hatsune Miku. What's the quality? So this is just a bad quality because of re-upload. Okay, that happens sometimes. For people curious, these covers are mostly bonus content, but they do pick songs that are like thematically relevant most of the time. But so far there's no real indication of them being lore relevant. And it exposes people to more DECO music. And it's a new mix of the song too. I love this rendition of Hatsune Miku. Yeah, these are just for fun. They're just thematically relevant to the characters. But not more than that. This is a good song. It just sucks that the quality is a bit low because of the re-upload. It's honestly, it happens sometimes because I've listened to all the other covers and people just try to synchronize the original music video to the new track. And I think a lot of people just don't know how to export stuff properly because it's just fan projects and then the quality just gets dookie. So depending on who's the re-uploader, there's a range of quality. Both in video and sound. But I love doing the first time with like the music video attached. Oh, I remember for Kodoko's one, I had the song in one tab and the original music video in another, and I tried to play them at the same time, and it kind of worked out. I love this Miko. The tattoos are so good, but also like the design and like the green eyes, it just looks so good. I'm glad to do this covers too. These are just phenomenal. I love these. Ah, I love it. Okay. So chat, it's time for me to get off. I really should have called the car shop. I should have just not watched the song, right? But it's still then 10 minutes before closing if they would even answer the phone. If they had news about my car, they would have called me. I don't want to be too nosy, not noisy. Let's see if there's anyone we can read. Anyway, if you're watching this and there's a high probability you also like Epic the Musical, I am going to do a full rewatch soon with full alternate animatics than the first time I reacted. Link is on my YouTube channel to the VOD, which has almost 20k views. I don't know how that happened, but I don't mind. Let's see, who are we reading? Oh, it's Athena's graduation. So we're gonna raid into Athena. So Athena is a VTuber from the Mythos agency. And I absolutely love him, but he is also retiring. He's graduating from the company, which is sad. I'm sad to see him go, but I'm sure that he has, you know, good reasons. He is reading something. I don't know. I'm gonna just send you there just to show him support. Say hello, behave. He's a small bean. Raid Athena Mythos. Thank you everyone for being here. Oh, that's the wrong command. I cannot type. Athena Mythos. Yes. Be kind to him. I don't know what he is reading. Athena reads The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. How does it sound? Just unmute him.
Of the lottery. At one time, some people remembered there had been a recital of some sort.
You should be an audiobook reader, Jesus. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for the stream. Thank you everyone for being here. I love it that even after so many times, and even if I'm late reacting to MILGRAM stuff, that people still show up and come and hang out with me. I really appreciate that. I really, really do. Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. See you guys soon. It will probably, I hope, later this week. Depending on what my mom wants to do, maybe tomorrow even. What we're gonna do, we'll see then. You probably get a ping on Discord or, yeah, this was a Discord. You can probably get a ping on Discord or like some community post or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Bye-bye.